seeing you again.
Pleasure.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. I can't.
My brain is blanking on it.
That's fair. That's me too.
Yeah.
Tommy?
Yes.
Fair. Yay, college. Wow, let me put more enthusiasm. Yeah, college. Yeah. I have a 5-page report due on Tuesday, and I have not started it.
You feel good.
You know what? I love that. Let's go.
Exactly.
I gotta ask, but I was also
I feel really bad.
No.
When can I make a motion?
during the
So this one,
agenda.
Do I just raise my hand or what?
Okay.
I can do everything. I'm so good at economics. Maybe the economic system ain't got nothing on me. I got everything.
Yeah, you like
How did you do store?
Yeah.
Would I get past
Do you have any ASCSU on Oh, no. Most definitely.
Hi everyone. Hi, I work at the front desk. My name is Kelly. I just want to pass around this list. If you never filled out the onboarding form at the beginning of the year, it's just going to give us your information so we can send you that link so we can record y'all down in the student members list. Just make sure we have a record of your time here in case y'all ever need anything from us. But so please just fill us out.
And with that, I'm calling to order the 28th session of the 53rd Senate. And with that, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So all who are willing and able, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native nations and tribes. We recognize the Indigenous people as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass education, access to education and inclusion. And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university is built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. With that, we move to swearing in any senators or associates. Anyone who needs to be sworn in. Seeing none, we move to beginning roll call. And the clerk call the roll. Alrighty. Chair Bakari.
Present.
Senator Barrett. Senator Cole Johnson.
Present.
Senator Winston. Senator Tabib. Senator Ady. Here. Chair Oslan. Here. Chairman Anti.
Here.
Senator Hill.
Present.
Senator Melchior. Senator Schumer.
Present on Zoom.
Senator Snyder.
Here.
Chair Taylor.
Here.
Senator McAllister Johnson. Chair Trout.
Present.
Senator Davis. Here. Chair Frisky. Here. Senator Reese. Present. Associate Senator Rivera. Senator Barron,
Present.
Associate Senator Camber. Here. Senator Lusser,
Present.
Associate Senator Alvarez. Senator Pickerel. Senator Yankowski, here. Senator Buckner. Present. Associate Senator Bozor. Associate Senator Leggett. Associate Senator Miller. Associate Senator Myers.
Here.
Associate Senator Berg. Associate Senator Turner. Associate Senator Morgan. Senator Salazar. Senator Milka. Senator Rivera. Senator Zayala Madi.
Present.
Associate Senator Hernandez.
Present.
Associate Senator Ducharme. Here. Associate Senator Mikado. Associate Senator Luna. Here. Associate Senator Lutz. And Associate Senator Bigard.
Here.
Thank you. Next, we move on to consent agenda. Is there any dissent? I'll start with Director of Finance.
All right, I'd like to motion to put ratification of an additional BSOF member, a ring, for after ratification of Chief Justice.
All those in favor of adding a ratification of an additional BSOF member to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
We'll add that to the agenda. Next, I saw Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two motions regarding the agenda. The first would be to move confidence business under guest speaker to get the hard work out of the way, since we do have a lot on our agenda.
Second.
All those in favor of moving, you said like moving it up after the guest presentation? Okay. So all those in favor of moving reports to the bottom, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
And then I,
Never mind.
I was like, the others who said nay can't vote.
and then I have a second motion. So my second motion would be to pull Bill 5319 out of the Internal Affairs Committee pursuant to Article 5, Section 2, subsection B of the Senate bylaws, and move it to the top of confidence business. This motion was supported by the Senate Internal Affairs Committee.
Second.
Okay. We have two different motions right now. We have to first vote to pull it out of committees. I don't know off the top of my head what Bill 5319 was. Okay. So there's been a motion to pull Bill 5319, the Humanity and Community Act, out of Internal Affairs Committee, and they have agreed to it. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Division.
Great. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Associates can vote. This is procedural. You can put your placards down. All those against, please raise your placards. Great, you can put your placards down. All abstentions. Great, put your placards down. With a vote of 17 to 2 to 4, this does get pulled out of committees. Next motion is having it put at the top of confidence business.
Second.
Sorry, let me amend that really quick to the top of old business.
Top of old business.
Yes, sorry, apologies.
So all those in favor of putting Bill 5318,
19.
19 at the top of old business, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? I'm gonna say the ayes have it. Next motion, President DeSalvo.
I move to put the ratification of Chief of Staff under ratification of ESOP.
Seconded.
All those in favor of putting ESOP, putting Chief of Staff ratifications under ESOP ratifications, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
So I said ayes have it. Chair Osborne, did you have a motion? Yield to redundancy. Great. Senator AP.
I'm going to put Bill 5325 at the top of confidence business because we made the student who authored it wait for a really long time last week and he needs to leave. So
Second.
All those in favor of moving that piece of legislation to the top of confidence business, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Great. Is there any other changes to the agenda? Chairman Auntie.
I'd like the motion just to remove committee abstract since it's immediately going to be followed by committee reports.
Seconded.
Second.
All those in favor of removing committee abstracts, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? I'm gonna say the ayes have it, remove committee abstracts. Any last?
Motion to put the fight song at the end. For the agenda. He was gonna start crying.
will you amend it? She's going to hate me, but will you amend it to where the speaker is leading now?
I'd like to amend my motion, to have legislative cabinet. read it. Oh, yeah, disable, sorry.
Entertain this motion if I don't want to.
What about Parker?
What is your final motion, Chair
I
Ricard?
just want the fight song. I'll take my win right and get it.
Second.
So are you motioning to add the fight song at the agenda? Where?
I'll yeah.
Where?
Surprise us. Right, yeah, where it is, it's great. End of roll call.
Okay.
Second.
No, delete that part. All those in favor of adding the fight song above adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? Great. Moving on with our lives. Is there anything else? Great, thank God. Does that move us? Yes,
Gallery.
right? Moving on to gallery input. Does anyone have from the gallery wish to speak at this time?
We have a birthday today, and so I'd like to read this riveting piece of poetry. Go, Shouty, it's your birthday. We go party like it's your birthday. We go sip Bacardi like it's your birthday. Because you know we don't give a flock. It's on your birthday. Happy birthday, Brooke.
Is there anyone else from the gallery who wishes to speak at this time? Great. We move on to our guest presentation, our senior recognition. We spun a wheel with everyone who put their names down to do an order. So we'll call y'all up, all the seniors up one at a time. Maddie, do you want me to call them or do you want to call them? I just don't have the list. And we're gonna start with, yes, we're gonna start with Kyle Hill.
You can pick your choice of mine.
My goodness, it's been a while since I've been behind this desk. Oh, well. Hello, let me put my glasses real quick. Hello, Senate. Well, here we are. After 5 years of being here as your senator and speaker, my time has finally come to say goodbye. This organization has been, to say it hasn't been one hell of a ride for me would be quite an understatement. From a timid, fresh out of high school kid to the guy standing in front of you, going to medical school, ASCSU has been with me with new experiences, new memories, and new friendships. From my time as an associate senator to speaker and back to senator again in 2019, a couple of years serving as BSOP as well, I added into that. I have been honored to serve in every single one of those roles, and each have come with the rewards of their own. Since the time that my good friend Christian Dixon, student body president of the 51st Senate, has convinced me to join him into a Senate meeting. We were both dorm mates at the time, same dorm hall, freshman year. I have been involved strongly in this organization. Senate has been a second home to me. I have learned values and lessons of patience. I have seen this organization in so many shapes and sizes. I have learned what it is like to listen and be present. When I ran for the position of Speaker of the Senate in 2021, it was the best day of my life when I won the election. The hardest decision I have ever made was to resign from that position, as it made me look upon myself as a failure. However, I learned that sometimes not every role is meant for everybody, and it forced me to look at myself in the mirror, a hard look at myself, and be a better man and a better person. I have learned skills as such, knowing when to step back and let others to take the reign. That was the hardest lesson and best I have learned in my time here at ASCSU. That did not stop me from my work, though. I worked on projects for bike security, assisted with transportation reform talks, and worked with presidents and vice presidents to help put on events for students in this school. I do love my alma mater, and I will forever be grateful for the generosity this university has given me and the entrust its students has given me to lead them to have an enjoyable and memorable collegiate experience. I'd always known this day would come in which I would stand in front of you today to say my goodbyes. I should hope in my absence, ASCSU shall continue to flourish to more younger people who have the potential to make this place good for the student body. If I were to give one piece of advice to you all, it would be to stay the course. And do not let any form of power or privilege to deter you from the awesome responsibilities of the seats in which you are sitting, whether it be president, executive member, senator, chair, or justice. You are here for one purpose. We are all here for one purpose and one purpose only. It's to serve the student body. Every time you breathe in this office and in Senate chambers, remember that the breaths you take are also the breaths of over 32,000 students. And development as a person, individual, cannot come from without various people. Because there are so many people, I will name a few of them. But here I want to shout out to a few people who have really helped me in my development as undergrad and as only student leader. To Nicholas DeSalvo, you have been a good friend and ally. You will make an outstanding president of your second term. When I was in need of help, you were there for me. You have always been my side in counsel and friendship. I am pleased to call you a friend and a brother. I know you will continue to be strong in your role. Do not let anybody tear you down. Thank you for hearing my rants and funny jokes and putting up with me these past 3 years. You sure know how to make me laugh. To my friend and former co-senator Cole Johnson, you have been a great co-senator and a great friend. Even though our time in ASCSU was not too long, our friendship had started in this place. A place that can often seem tense and socially hostile can also be a place in which friendships and relationships develop and flourish. You are no exception to that rule. I'm glad to have shared my knowledge of this space to be a mentor and a friend to you so that you can help lead a new generation of future doctors and pre-meds in our group. To my friend Christian Dixon, even though you are not here, you have started me on this journey in student government, and you made me realize that there's more than being a doctor, but there is a world of other people with other professions with different aspirations that can help change the world in different ways. Thank you for giving me that experience. To Blake Alfred, former Speaker of the Senate of the 49th Senate, you were the first speaker I served under my freshman year. You shaped me into being a good senator and a good leader for my first year. I was scared for my freshman year in 2019 and not knowing anyone. Thank you for being there to mentor me and help me stand on my own 2 feet. So many others I did not call, but these are just a few that comes to mind in my journey here at ASCSU. I wish Hayden Taylor good luck as Speaker of the Senate, as I know you will kill it, and good luck to Nicholas DeSalvo and Braxton Dietz, President and Vice President, leading the student body into greatness, as I know they will, with all my heart. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ariani.
As the longest serving senator, I've listened to these graduating speeches every year, and I've always wondered what I was going to say for mine. The day I first stepped foot in this room was the same day I got my first wheelchair. I was disabled long before that point, but I'd never accepted that part of myself. But coming here, being in this room, and finding a huge community of disabled folks, that made me find who I was, what I was capable of, and who I wanted to be. I also want to thank my very best ally, Sammy. Without him, I would not still be here. I just have 2 points I want to say. First, to those that are here because you saw your community hurting and you wanted to make a difference, not selfishly for yourself, but because people deserve to be able to attend an institution like this and not have to deal with the shit that it brings, you can do it. This organization is so hard, but you're going to find the best friends and teammates that will last forever because those bonds are forged in blood and war. To the rest of this organization, it deserves to crumble and burn. I'm not saying that's a hex, but
Thank you. Next, we have Sammy Trout.
This needs to flip right. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the Senate and ASCSU as a whole. To make this as short as I can, which if you know me, it's not gonna be that short. I truly want to give my absolute love for and tell y'all my absolute love for the Senate. There's a reason why I stayed in Senate when I could have moved on. That's because of the incredible work that we have all done here throughout my term. Year after year, Senate brings in the future of not only ASCSU, but the future advocates and leaders who will bring real change to our society. I've been honored and humbled to have been in so many leadership roles in my time, and I want to thank everyone who has looked up to me as a mentor, as I've learned so much from y'all, as much as you may have learned from me. While there are dozens of people here I would like to thank, there are 2 that I simply need to shout out. A huge shout out is to my ASCSU partner in crime, the incredible Ariadne Ate, who has stood by my side since the very beginning. I could have not imagined going through this organization and the ups and downs it has put me through without waiver. I wish you the absolute best of luck in law school, and I know you'll give them hell. It has truly been an honor being dubbed co-cult leader with you, and I really hope everyone gets to have that experience, because to say it's a bonding one is an understatement. Finally, I want to give a special shout out to Tommy. Tommy is my partner who drove all the way down here or up here from Denver, and who has also had the sort of kind of privilege of being our most consistent watcher of Senate since I've been here, so roughly 3 years. Tommy, your love and support for me has gotten me through the highs and lows of ASCSU. No matter what happened, you were there by my side. Words cannot express how supporting and loving you've been there and how supporting and loving you've been for me. And I encourage everyone to have a partner as awesome as mine, but that's impossible because I have the coolest boyfriend. And anyone who says otherwise is feeding you propaganda. All right, y'all. I'll be back in a minute to present my final bill, so don't get too upset of me just leaving just yet. Signed with love, your favorite problematic twink.
Thank you. Next, we have Nora Oswald. Your favorite underprepared person is back. This is also a nice fun thing to say. Every single thing you've ever heard me say in my life, unless it is like a presentation in class, I have never prepped for. So I'm continuing that today because I forgot to write a speech for this. I wish I could say that my time at ASCSU has been easy. And I wish even more that I could say that my senior year was easy. But this is the hardest year I've ever lived through. It's the hardest time I have ever lived through. I'm living through an ongoing genocide of my people, and yet somehow I managed to find the strength to finish college. So I don't know how I did that. And I wish I could say that ASCSU made it easy, but it didn't. I hate to say it, it kind of didn't. There are some people here who did though. Ariadne, I know you and I have had our differences, but you are someone I will always admire for the rest of my life. Your strength and determination, your courage. I want to be that person. I want to live the way you live. Sammy, you're incredible, bro. I don't know what to say. You're great. You're amazing. Olivia, your support of me this year has been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ava and Claudia, I love you both so dearly. I don't know how to put it into words. I live beneath you, Claudia, so I'm not, this ain't the last I see of you, but like, still. For the rest of us in this space, our strength comes from our community. It does not come from us alone. It comes from the people around us. I hope to be someone that you remember not for the words I spoke, but for the kindness I was able to show, for the courage that I was able to demonstrate. Now, I don't know if I demonstrated that, but if there's anything to be remembered for, it is who we are as a person rather than the actions we have ever done. Thank you. Next, we have Faraz Bukhari.
Not that short.
You know, they really don't tell you how long these things are until you come on. I have no way of topping that. And I like froyo my topping, so that's crazy. I just want to thank the space for everything the space has given me. I came into this space as a center for the College of Health and Human Sciences. I ran because I was very much motivated by the work of Christian Dixon and Mary. I can't say her last name for the life of me, and I'm so sorry if you're watching this, Mary. Huh? No. With the G, Mary with the G, the vice president. That one, yeah. And it was great, and I really enjoyed history classes in high school, and I was like, why not just live the dream? And then I got elected recruitment and retention officer, and I didn't do my job as a senator. I just went around to parties and advertised for ACSU, and it was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of cool people in this space. And then this year, I kind of took this role a bit more seriously and became a senator for APAC. And that's had its own history in the space. But moving forward from that, I think we've built a lot of stronger bonds through conflict. And that's kind of what I want to focus on, because while this place can crumble and burn, let's focus on the crumble of feta, because everyone likes cheese, right? So I'm taking Italian on, French on Duolingo, and cheese is fromage. So intersectionality finds itself in different ways in this space, right? We have SDPS, we have the colleges. And I think that the weight of your constituency really falls on you when you realize you represent at least 750 people, because that's how colleges are defined. If you don't know, to be a senator, for college, you divide the population, by 750, and that's the amount of senators it is. And then for every senator, how many associates are there?
2.
Thanks, Sam. But it's been a lot of fun in this space, and I do have to shout out my favorite branch, the front desk. They've been by my side the entire time. But I really am hopeful for the space. And aside from the drama that happens, aside from the toxicity that does exist, and you can't get through this space without like acknowledging that, I do think there's a lot of change that can happen in this space. For instance, we made a housing caucus this year, which is pretty awesome. You should come this Friday because we're having a little town hall with the Braden dining hall workers to see where we can address some inaccessibilities and improve the workplace. But small things like that. And I do believe it's like a domino effect in this space. My time started off with Ben, and now it's ending with Ben. So I'd like to call Ben up here to give me a hug. If Ben is willing and able. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Ben.
Where's my hug at?
Hey, man.
I could get a man hug. Can I get a man hug?
Alrighty, next person we have is Evan Welch.
I'm having Rosman before me though, because of that, I didn't have to move the mic, so thank you very much for that. And yeah. But no, there are many other people here who have also been here for a long time. This is my 4th year here. I'm honestly shocked that I've been here for 4 years. I remember when I first went to ASCSU, I did SFRB and it was all online. It was the worst case I ever went through. It was Friday since I was literally an executive branch. You'd assume the executive branch literally the higher applications. No, the SFRB my freshman year, it was insane. And once ASCSU, I was still getting my footing. And in December, we were doing our meeting. It was the last one. I didn't really know because I was still getting my footing. Like, oh yeah, the senior, it's time for you all to give your speeches. I was like, oh, that's neat. And so then all these seniors gave speeches. And I was like, oh yeah, eventually I'm gonna do that. And I completely forgot I was gonna give a speech until a little while ago. I was like, oh dang it, I have to give a speech as well. And so I think the main thing about my speech is that I am extremely grateful for ASCSU and for how much we accomplished and for everyone who's helped me with all the stuff we accomplished. And there's things that like I was not involved with all that they also accomplished. And so thank you to all those people that got that stuff done. There's so many amazing bills that have gone to ASCSU, and I'm extremely impressed with all of them. Same with the executive branch, they're doing a lot of amazing stuff. And the digital brands, they're doing a lot of team building stuff. Like there's digital brands, I feel like it's really underappreciated. I feel like they do a lot of cool work, but a lot of it's secretive. Like when I first met the now Supreme Court Justice, I was like, what do you all do? And she said, oh, I can't actually tell you. So I was like, oh, okay. I eventually did learn what they did, but like it was more secretive. So unfortunately, less people know all the great work they do. And of course, the best branch is the front desk, who literally does everything. Another thing I want to bring up is I've heard this saying many times before that the best thing to do is to plant a tree seed, acorn, and to never experience a seed from it. I feel like that's what I try to do in ASCSU. I'm hoping that I plant a tree or corn, a acorn to the ground, that I will never experience the wonderful seed from that tree and how it grows. Because I do believe that ASCSU is going to grow and become a much more beautiful tree. And the final thing I want to say is that I am going to college. I'm a political science major, so I'll be working in other governments. And I know other people, they've had their place where they started. Now I'm going to be extremely proud that when people, they talk about where they started in government, and I'm going to be sitting there excited, I'm going to be them mention, I started in ASCSU. And they're going to be like, what's ASCSU? And I'll be like, well, I'm happy I'm talking about ASCSU. So I'm just extremely grateful for being a part of all this. Just thank you all very much for everyone, and everyone have a great night as well. But yeah, very much.
Next, we have Ben Torres-Doxey.
Go back.
So taller than me.
That goes hard.
hello, everyone. So for folks who don't know me, I bet a lot of people in the room do know me. I often argue in the office a lot jokingly. I hope that improves people's day. It might not, but if not, well then that sucks. No, I'm just kidding. No, but what can I say? I've been lucky enough to be a part of this organization for 3 years. I'm kind of just been a like cloud this year. I'm not like super involved. I got involved with Housing Caucus, so shout out to Froz and Hayden for putting that together and everyone who comes every week because we do a lot of important work in that space, like the town hall, like the resolution that was on the floor last night. I guess I just want to say that I think ASCSU is valuable in the fact that a lot of the people who are involved in the organization get to pass down a lot of institutional knowledge. I think that's really important. I would really ask you all to, if you're still involved, to continue to pass down that institutional knowledge and be critical of the institution because there are definitely times we need to be critical of CSU and different entities within CSU. There are a lot of issues on campus, food insecurity, housing insecurity, and it's really important to like pass down what we know about that. But I was lucky enough to meet a lot of folks through the space to teach me about that. And I hope I kind of pass down that institutional knowledge in some way. But to kind of get what I wanted to say is I think we can often kind of forget that there are a lot of good people in this organization. And I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of them. So don't forget that. Also, give yourself a little bit of grace. I think we often don't do that enough. And also give others some grace. There's often misunderstandings, but I think it's really awesome when we try to like rectify that and give others a little bit of grace and ourselves. So just hold that. I'd like to wish everyone who continues in the organization luck. I had the lows were definitely low. The highs were definitely high, obviously, and I was really fortunate and lucky enough to serve in this organization for 3 years. So thank you all. Good luck. Go Rams.
Next, we have Madison and Annie.
You got it first.
Oh,
No one ever said.
I can't remember it. You've been giving me information. I think it's gonna be this time.
So long on me. Alrighty, thank you Faraz and Evan for giving a shout out to the front desk. Love y'all. Okay, so I've only been in ASCSU for 1 year, but I want to thank y'all for letting me be your clerk. Technically, y'all didn't choose me as your clerk, but thanks for letting me sit up here anyway. Sitting up here has been a great experience. Looking at all your beautiful faces, it's been a roller coaster though. That's okay. I want to thank you guys for making me laugh, making me cringe, making me roll my eyes. You guys really made my face muscles move. I also want to remind you that my minutes do exist. And while I do get paid for them, I really want people to read my stuff. It's really good work, guys. It really tells you the events that are happening here, especially the ones happening in cabinet. And I want to tell you, only 2 of us are leaving at the front desk, but I want to remind you, be nice to the front desk. We mean it. You'll regret it if you're not. You might not have placards. You might not have colored printing. You might not have the weekly email, bills sent out, a friendly face in the office, or a reason to be here. And while these are all jokes, keep in mind that we're all humans. We have lives outside of this office. And so when we're here at 11 p.m. tonight, remember I have a dog and he kind of has to pee. And please just remember, be nice to the front desk and be nice to the next clerk because you guys are gonna love her. She's great. And then anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. And if you already have a stole, I'm gonna do my job real quick. If you guys already have a stole, please don't take 2 home. You can wear it for the session, but put it on the front desk.
As we wait for another person who's graduating who isn't here yet, a couple of our senators and associate wanted to be recognized, but did not want to give a speech. So Ali Baron and Haley Chacon, can I ask you both down here to receive a stole? Thank you both for your work.
Thank you.
So we do have a couple extra stoles. And so if there's any other seniors who wish to speak at this time, I ask that y'all walk down right now. This will be starting with our Vice President.
I can go last because I got a few words to say. I don't know about these.
I got a few words.
Well,
Woo! Let's go, Ashton.
Come on, Ashton.
Let's go, Ashton.
alrighty.
Woo, Ashton!
Start off with our Director of Finance.
All right.
Also,
Wait.
Okay.
you actually might be too tall for me.
That's okay. I'll do it. Perfect.
The only person I accept ducking. I'm tall enough for the rest of you.
Hey everyone, most of you might know me as the BSOP guy, but I'm here today just to say it's been super fun. I was never in student government in high school, never thought I ever would be, but this has been a good time. One thing that's really impacted me this year was going to the BSOP events and experiencing different cultures and going to all the different spaces, whether it be Women's Caucus, we got Senate, Executive. I think every different area in this space is it's a good time to be at. So thanks for everything. That's all I got.
Next, we have Vice President Alex Overhead. Would you like to?
I already have a stole. I stole it a little while ago. Long story. Alrighty, I wanted to share a little bit. I will be speaking at Eyeball, so if you don't want to hear me speak at Eyeball, don't come to Eyeball next Wednesday at 6:30. Anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about my history here at ASCSU. It's been 3 really long and really short years. It feels crazy that it's already over. I'm not gonna cry. No, I'm not gonna cry. I remember joining Senate my sophomore year and meeting some of my closest friends, Hayden and Mina, within the Senate, and we sat right where Morgan's sitting. So that's a very special spot to be vice president with it. I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Well, just because you're sitting in that spot doesn't mean anything, but you could be vice president Morgan. I remember being vice chair of the Budgetary Affairs Committee and being abandoned by my chair, rest in peace, Missy Osterhout. She taught me a lot about what it means to be a leader in the space and the courage that it takes. I remember recording a video for the chair elections for Budgetary Affairs because I was going to see 2 of my favorite drag queens in Denver, and I'm wearing the shirt that I got from that concert tonight, just out of pure coincidence. And I remember getting a text from Ariadne that's read that I got the job, which was really funny. I remember getting my first ever bill passed. Can anyone guess what the bill was about? Sexual health. Thank you, Nora. Sexual health. I'm a very one-note kind of guy. No, I'm not. That was a really cool experience. I remember sitting in the Ramskeller with my beautiful boyfriend, who is not a fan of student government. And I remember getting the email that I had been chosen as the director of health, which was really cool. I remember hosting my first ever mental health tabling and telling everyone else to go to therapy when I myself had never been to therapy in my life. I remember meeting Nick and thinking, wow, what a scared little boy. And look at him now, a confident little boy. That's not the end of the Nick jokes. I remember every 5 a.m. alarm and classroom presentation from the election cycle. I remember Rob Long accidentally smacking my glasses off my face when it was announced that Nick and I won. It was not fun. I distinctly remember meeting Georgia White and Izzy Henry in cabinet interviews and feeling so excited to have met 2 of my future coworkers and 2 of my closest friends here in the ASCSU. I remember dressing up as a vampire for one of the several blood drives that I helped run, and I remember almost every moment in ASCSU, and most of the time, I hope to never forget anything. I think ASCSU is such an important space because you're really able to do whatever you want to do. It's crazy. It doesn't matter if you're in cabinet, judicial, or Senate. You have access to so much power and influence and money and wonderful, wonderful people. And so there's a few people in this room. I just got a text from Izzy, I'm sorry. I wanted to thank a few of the wonderful people that have made this experience so special and so meaningful. I want to thank Jen Johnson for being one of the most positive people I know. I want to thank Pamela Norris, or as I call her, Pammy, I never knew I needed a second mom, but I got one through being an ASCSU. And I appreciate you for everything, and I can't wait to get that glass of wine with you after I graduate. Thank you to Magic Mike in the back corner for being a wonderful advisor and always taking so nicely to my tomfoolery and buffoonery, whether it's in SFRB, standing on this stage, presenting to all of these people, or whatever it might be. Thank you so much, Mike. To my entire cabinet, who would have ever thought it would be a good idea to give me the power to hire 20 people? I don't know. To my beautiful and loving boyfriend, who, like I said before, doesn't like student government, but will still support me through everything that I do. To Nick, the man who single-handedly took credit for ending U+2. Thank you. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Nick, for going on this crazy journey of being president and vice president together. It's been a really special experience, and I think I can confidently say I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. So thank you. Lastly, I know she's not watching because she doesn't know how to use technology very well, but I love my mom. I have to thank her for every single thing in my life, all of the positive qualities and some of the negative qualities that I have. I love my mom so hard till the day I die. So, I would like to give a special good luck to Braxton. Being vice president is hard, and I know he doesn't have the charm and wit that I have, but I know he will make meetings so fun and make emails so short and to the point. So thank you, everyone. And Claire, can you text me when the long bill happens? Thank you.
Did you want to?
Thank you, though. Well, good evening, everyone. I wasn't aware I was making a speech tonight, so please forgive me if I'm a little brief. I think the first time I came to the Senate chambers was either this Wednesday last year or next week last year. And it was to be ratified to be Director of Governmental Affairs. And I think I came to a certain set of determination that our student government actually has to deliver results for our student body. And I think that's what we've done this year. We expanded community roundtable from 7 elected officials to 24 elected officials. We hired one of the top lobbying firms in Denver. When their original asking price was $28,000, we brought that down to $14,000. We pushed U+2 across the line, and that's no longer an issue for our students. We introduced legislation that would save students $2 million across Colorado. And while that legislation ultimately failed, it was a major milestone for this organization to bring students down to the Capitol to testify on the original piece of legislation that came from our offices. So I could leave this body with one thing. If you pull the average student out in the plaza, because I was one of those students the past 3 years, they really don't think we do much. But we can do things when we get rid of U+2, when we introduce legislation that makes college more affordable, when we bring electives onto campus to connect with students, we make a real tangible difference for our student body. So for someone who this is my first and also my last year in ASCSU, we really do have the power to make a difference. And we also have the responsibility to make a difference for our students. And I think that's what we've done this year. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just came back from another reception, graduate reception, hence my regalia. We had a NAC reception upstairs at the No Never Summer Ballroom. It's really crazy to just stand here and give my graduation speech. Like, I've been a part of ASCSU for 4 years, and it's such an honor to be here and to have served and done so many amazing things in ASCSU, done so much amazing work with so many amazing people. I mean, it's so powerful and so wonderful for everyone to be here in a place where, you know, we all feel super passionate about to get work done. I mean, that's not easy. That's not a thing that everyone necessarily loves to do, but, you know, that's something that we all have in common here. And I think that's really awesome. I did student government in high school, and I loved the work that I did there. And I remember I was still a senior. I was about to graduate in high school and setting up a Zoom meeting with ASCSU's recruitment and retention officer, Raven Pinto, which is my position now, and talking to Christian Dixon about ACSU. Yeah, it was, I don't know what I was doing in high school talking about ACSU, but I was already so excited about it coming to CSU. And, you know, starting my first day of school, I remember coming to the office and talking to Jess Deardall, our previous ACSU advisor. And I was so excited, and I was so excited to get work done. I was so excited to, you know, learn what ASCSU is all about. And I'm really honored to have done so many amazing things throughout my years, and, you know, writing bills such as like the ICWA bill, if any of you were present for that, and writing to the US Supreme Court and getting so many signatures across so many colleges across the US. And it was really awesome and so powerful to, you know, write about something like that, and, you know, collaborating with so many other people on really amazing bills and resolutions, lexes, etc. And, you know, that was just one of the few many bills that I was really proud of that I did. Yeah, and I'm so excited for what is to come in ACC in the future years. Whenever I look back and see what amazing work is being done by the next years, and, you know, I'm so lucky to have met so many amazing people, so many amazing friends, and, you know, amazing people that I've met, you know, starting as a freshman at ASCSU. And, you know, I want to thank, you know, so many people like Jess Deardall and Ali Rasa, and, you know, so many people that, you know, there's so many people I want to thank, and especially my loving partner, Benton, you know, who I met at ASCSU 2020. And so, you know, maybe you'll meet your future partner here too. So I think it brings so many amazing things, and I can't wait to see what's to come for ASCSU in the future. Thank you all so much for letting me be a part of the space with you, and thank you all.
And lastly, I know he doesn't like to speak or be recognized a lot, but we have to say thank you to our lovely parliamentarian, Harper Doyle.
No.
He was a man of little words, but I know we all appreciate everything he does, and I appreciate him so much being more parliamentarian this year. I wouldn't have gotten through this year without him. Thank you, Vin Parker. And I hope every senior who wanted to got a chance to talk and receive their stole. We are very happy that you all came to us and that you've done your work here, and we're very sad to see you go. But we're all wishing you the best and wishing you luck in your futures. And with that, we end our senior recognition and we get back to business now.
Woo!
So with that, we move into confidence business. Can the parliamentarian put 2 hours on the confidence clock? We're gonna start with Bill 5325, the amending Bill 5117.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm here. Sorry, could someone remind me, am I supposed to re-give the whole presentation? How does this work?
No, I think if anything, you just need to make the motion that you have. Oh, and if the edits that you want to add, you should make them now.
Basically, you just need to read the that you already wrote in here.
Okay. Yes, I am motioning to resubmit the bill, and the edits that I have made from last year are pretty simple. It was previously requesting 3 years of funding in increments of $11,950 per year. As you can see, though, now we are requesting 2 years of funding in increments of still $11,950 per year. to give a new total of $23,900.
Any other edits?
Nope, those are the only edits. Just accommodate from 3 years down to 2 years of funding.
Just to add to that, we also added a sunset clause onto the end of this, just purely for clerical reasons.
Yes,
And-
that's right. Thank you.
2 places clause.
Thank you. And with that,
I'd
like to motion.
I'm sorry, you do it. I take it back.
I move to expedite seeing as we've gotten approval from our advisor, Evan Welch, and our director of finance.
And I second that motion.
And from Lenore. All those in favor of expediting this piece of legislation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? With that, we move into a period of discussion debate with the first read Dr. Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think this is an incredible bill. I think it is important, and as I kind of spoke about last week, I think it's incredible that ASCSU is funding these initiatives in terms of making sure that there is food security. That is a huge issue on campus, and it is important that we are addressing that. I think we're all in pretty solid agreement on this bill, so I would motion previous question.
Second.
All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
I heard it. With that, we move into a period of voting.
I move to pass this with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, this bill is passed with unanimous consent.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the support. I'll keep you all updated. We're going to grow a lot of food this year and years to come with your funding. Thank you.
Next, we move to ratification of Chief Justice.
Hello, everybody. Enjoying the vibes here tonight. I want to introduce you to hopefully, depending on your invitation, new Chief Justice Morgan Wright. She is a wonderful human being, and I have full faith that she's going to execute this job wonderfully, and next year's going to be great. Without further ado, Morgan.
Hello, ASCSU. I am so excited to get started with the ratification process.
Great, we'll open up to questions with the first one, Dr. Chair Trout.
Hey, Queen. Let's see, my first question specifically for Chief Justice, how would you judge your abilities to now be head of the judicial branch and leader of interpreting the Constitution?
How would I judge my what? Could you say that word one more time?
Yeah. How would you judge your abilities in now being head of the judicial branch and leader of interpreting the Constitution?
How would I judge my voties? Like,
abilities.
oh,
sorry.
abilities. I'm so sorry. I just did not process that. Oh, I would judge my abilities as fair and reasonable. I believe that I have the capabilities to understand our documents as well as the processes in which we move forward in our the way we have opinions and internal complaints. I feel that my time as an associate justice has prepared me for this role, and I also believe that my wonderful leaders have shown me exactly what to do in that kind of scenario and how and what to do in that way.
What are your goals for this position?
That's a great question, and I love answering that. My goals are to lead with servant leadership. I want to be accessible for everyone. I feel like the court sometimes can be like on a shelf. I feel like we're not very, sometimes we like, what are we doing? What's the court? You know?
And I feel like I would like to do more projects. I worked a little bit on roommate revival. I was able to do some outreach stuff. I want to get into RHA and talk to freshmen about their rights. I want to be able to really educate students on what we do and policies that impact them. I also want to foster interbranch relations, and I feel like as chief, I can execute that.
How are you going to recognize your inherent biases?
As an associate, I do that whenever I have an opinion or an internal complaint. I look at whatever's given to me and I check myself and I look at the situation at hand. And if I need to recuse myself or I need to take a step back and look at anything, I do. And I look at my peers. I look at my associates. I look at my chief, my deputy chief, and I make sure that I hold myself accountable.
Awesome. Thank you for answering my questions. I yield.
Thank you.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much for applying for this awesome role that you have committed yourself to. Well done for the nomination. First question is, if you were to, let's say, you were to find yourself in a position in which you are not able to be impartial or whatever, how are you going to maintain impartiality in any situation that you will govern, since this is probably the most impartial role there is in ASCSU?
If I find myself where I could not be impartial, I would recuse myself.
Good answer. I like that. Thank you. Yeah. So what is probably actually, that's my question that was already asked and answered. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to ask a question? Senator Davis.
Congrats on applying for this role. I have two questions. So, because you did roommate revival, and I know that was super successful. And as Chief Justice, your goal is to be a leader in the rest of the court. So, how do you expect to use the leadership stuff that you learned from your roommate revival in your future role as a court Chief Justice?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think with that, I really have the experience of event building, and I know that the court's position is not events. I totally understand that, but I do believe that that event is about education, and I think the court is in a unique position to be able to educate students and be able to give a more comprehensive push on what rights students have. And I think that my time with roommate revival was able to gear me up for this position and allow me to lead bigger events, such as going into the dorms, and reaching out to RHA, and being able to, I can't do that alone, and leading my team into projects like that.
Awesome. And then also, what do you expect the biggest challenge in this role to be, and how do you plan to overcome that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest challenge in this role is probably going to be, honestly, from what we experienced this year, is just the back to back to back. There is a lot of incoming documents. There's you're getting pulled left and right. It's just, how do you organize yourself? And I think that taking this summer and making sure that making sure that I'm organized and putting together a really good team and making sure that when I walk into the next semester, I'm ready to go. And I genuinely have a plan, and knowing that I can confidently make my best foot forward count, that is what's important. Organization and communication, and building a team. Because like I said, I cannot do this alone, and having a team is what's important. I think that is one of the biggest things that I've taken away as an associate justice.
Cool. Thank you.
How do you plan on upholding ASCSU values of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that one of the key aspects of being Chief Justice, and something that needs to be at the forefront of any Chief Justice's mind, is trust building. And one of the ways to do that is by upholding the key values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that means representing all students, whether that is in confidential spaces or not. And so I believe that speaking thoroughly, thoughtfully, mindfully, and kindly, first of all, knowing your biases, knowing your privileges, and understanding where you're coming from and who you're speaking to is of utmost importance. And just showing respect and kindness and upholding those values. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yeah, right there.
Thank you. Any last questions? Seeing none, we'll move to a period of discussion debate. I ask that you step outside. He hasn't left the room yet. I don't know who had their placard on. Chair Taylor.
I've known Morgan since she joined ASCSU in the Senate. She was involved in the Elections Committee and now is an Associate Justice. I think that those two things have definitely given her the skills and abilities needed to fulfill the duties of this position. And ultimately, I can think of nobody better situated to lead ASCSU and all of CSU to success. And with that, I move to clear this question.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Seeing now, we're gonna move to a period of voting.
Motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Is there any dissent? Seeing none, this candidate is ratified with unanimous consent.
So she comes back. Good.
Throw my jacket.
I state your name.
I, Morgan Wright,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, we have ratification of visa.
Hey, everyone. If you'll remember, we had ratification of most VSOF members for the summer board in 2024 to 2025 last time. This is Irene. She's trying to fill another spot. Irene is with the Council for International Student Affairs. She also represents international students in a lot of different aspects. She helped put on the World Unity Fair, which had 4,000 to 5,000 students. It was super big, super impactful. I think she'll make a great addition. She'll finish it off.
Hi, everyone. I'm ready for the questions.
Perfect. We'll start with questions with the first raised placard, Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What are your goals for this position?
I think I have worked so much with the international population. I myself am an international student, so I bring that perspective of wanting to know how, when funding events, what is the perspective and what is the intention and goal of putting money into different events which foster a sense of belonging. So I'm excited to do that and learn that and bring that perspective.
How do you plan to uphold the university and ASCSU initiatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think my experience with the diverse population at CSU has made me realize that the opposite of belonging is fitting in, and nobody deserves to fit in, but to feel belonged. And I think that's what I want to do, is to foster a sense of belonging in the community and then just generally in the population. Yeah.
Awesome. That's all the questions I have for you. I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Davis.
One of the realities of being on the board, especially one that comes with money, is possibly disagreeing with the rest of your board. So do you feel confident in your ability to say no, even if the rest of the board doesn't agree with you?
Absolutely. I think just having, just knowing that I'm different from everyone because I'm a racial and religious minority here. So accepting that and knowing that my perspective is equally important has given me the confidence to be confident in my ability and perspective. And I would be confident, and it's okay to disagree.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to ask a question at this time? Great. Seeing none, we move to discussion and debate. And I ask that you step aside. Thank you. This is how today's going. Sure, Senator Hill, what do you have to say?
Much to the previous question. I like this candidate's awesome, and I think, BSOF does such a good job in their work, and I truly believe with all my heart, this candidate has what it takes based on her answers. Yeah, most of the previous question.
Second.
Unanimous consent vote, somebody seconds.
Is there any dissent? Seeing none, we move to a period of voting.
I move to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Great. Seeing none, this candidate is ratified with unanimous consent. Yippee, yippee.
Yeah, we still usually forget.
I state your name.
I, Arina Akbar,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our last ratification for Chief of Staff.
This is going to seem more sappy than I typically get, but I have interviewed Jakai twice. The first time being the second semester of this year, when he was very sick and still decided to come into his interview for Deputy Director of Health. And he absolutely blew us away. In that moment, I immediately saw not only the leadership skills that he had in that moment, but the incredible leadership potential that he has beyond that. For the role of Chief of Staff, it's incredibly important to be a people person, not only someone who's incredibly motivated and organized and good with planning, but someone who has drive and passion and initiative, and someone who can get along with other people. When you're overseeing a cabinet of 22 people, you have to do more. You have to go beyond just the work. You have to develop personal relationships with the people you're overseeing. You have to take an interest in what they do in their lives. And that's how you build respect. We interviewed Jakai for this position of Chief of Staff, and he came with a 21-page booklet, a plan of action that he wanted to carry out in this role. That far exceeded any type of material that I'd ever been given for any interview for a position on cabinet last year and this year combined. I can't express how much confidence I have in Jakai, and I'm so thrilled to see the leaps and bounds he'll make in this organization, in this community, in this state, and really in this nation. When I am long gone from CSU, and he continues to carry the legacy of some of the work that we've started this year. And so, without further ado, please welcome my Chief of Staff pick, Jakai Nunley.
I have nothing. I want to say thank you, though, and thank you to this body as well. Every time I'm in front of you guys, it's something so nerve-wracking. That's it. That's all I got.
Great, we'll start with the first one, Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for being here. I have one, before I get to my usual questions, on a question for President DeSalvo. Something that we had talked about last week was opening up the application for additional folks to put in an application to the interview process. You notified us last week that you had tapped Jakai, which I think is an excellent choice for Chief of Staff. I kind of want to ask if there were any additional interviews that were conducted by you and Vice President Dietz, and if there was anything there, I guess.
Yeah, we did get 2 additional applications for the position of Chief of Staff. And if you weren't here last week, our process is we have everything sent to the front desk, and the front desk redacts all the information. And then Braxton and I individually, most of the time or together, we'll go through that application and we'll score it based upon prior experience that's relevant to any position. And if those individuals score higher than a 5 on individual rankings, around a 10 when it's combined with Braxton and I's rankings, then that individual gets an interview. Out of those 2 additional applications that were submitted, there was only one that moved forward to the interview process, with the exception of Jakai. But Jakai, with his preparedness and his interview, the 21-page booklet, although the candidate that interviewed was great, Jakai was just the shining star.
Okay, thank you for that. And now, focusing back on you, my friend. You've heard these questions before, but I always ask them, for the last Senate. Hi, Jonathan. How do you plan to uphold the university and the ASCSU initiatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think this is so imperative, and I think I have a different answer every time I'm posed with this question in its many variants. I think that diversity, equity, and inclusion, as we know it, is an ever-growing thing. It is an ever-growing concept, and it's all inclusive to so many different identities and so many different lived experiences now. And so when I was first introduced to the concept of like diversity, equity, inclusion, and what it means in our society, for me, being a young African-American man, it was centered around the concepts of that identity and what being Black in this society meant. And as I've grown over the years, and I've encountered so many more new friends, per se, with so many different lived experiences, that concept and those 3 words have grown to mean something completely different for each of the terms. Diversity means something different in my life now. Equity means something different, and inclusion means something different. And so when asked how I uphold those daily. It's something that is a part of all of my processes. When I was making and putting together the booklet that I presented, making Braxton in my interview, that was the forefront of every concept and everything I wrote down. So it's apparent through everything I do, through and through.
It is your job to represent all identities, not just the ones that you hold. How do you intend to ensure that you're doing this?
I think this is an amazing question. And if there's anything that I could share, it's something that's shared with me so often, that it's the greatest gift that we are given in this world is perspective. And so when you go to a school like Colorado State University and you have the luxury, really the privilege of attending such an amazing institution with 33,000 other students, at your fingertips, you have this gift of perspective to be around so many people with so many different lived experiences and people with so many different interests and hobbies. And so to answer your question, how I intend to do that is to keep embarking on this gift that I'm given daily and learning about my new friends like Ashton, who love finance. And I know nothing about that and wouldn't want to do math. And if you ever need an accountant, don't ask me because your money's going to be all bad. Or some of my friends in here who I could go around and name a plethora of people who sit in this in this very space, who have different lived experiences that I've got to love and and have grown on me. And so I want to say thank you for that question, but it's very true to everything.
My last question for you, my friend, is what are your goals for this position?
There's so many. One of the biggest goals that I have for this position, that I think would be, I don't know, something that maybe this body would love to hear, is that I do want to work on some type of senator's benefits package. I think that the work that you do goes unnoticed. It's very underappreciated. I think there is something to be said about taking an hour or more of your time every Wednesday from 5:30 or from 6:30 to what might be 11 o'clock tonight. And taking that time to work on issues that are imperative to students, for basically to volunteer for that. And so I think there's something to be said for the work that you do, and there needs to be some work done on the work that you do. Bigger than that, for the executive cabinet, something I want to do is establish a code of conduct that we all work off of, to facilitate our space a little better. There's so many things in that document, and upon request, I would love to share that with anybody, but it's a long document, so if you ever have the time, feel free to ask.
Awesome, thank you for that. You got the rest of my time.
Congrats on getting this far. I think you're gonna be a great chief of staff. So I have two questions. As chief of staff, you are operating as someone who, like the rest of the cabinet is looking up to. You're kind of in charge of them. So how do you expect to use your current experience as deputy director of health, and like the kind of leadership experience that you've gained from this? How do you expect that to translate into your next role?
This is a beautiful question. Thank you. I think that one of the hardest tasks that anybody in this space is tasked with is leading leaders. I think that is one of the hardest tasks you'll ever be able to like put on your back and say, hey, I led a bunch of other leaders. It's crazy. My experience with ASCSU Health Deputy really only transcends this role within the knowledge that it gives me for ASCSU as an organization and how we run things, or like what point of order means, or like Jermaine, I didn't know who that was at first. And so I think that what I have as it relates to work experience is, it's my background before ASCSU, honestly, is what gives me the walking leg, or the advantage to this role. I think that some of my prior experiences, like student body vice president of my high school, or the assistant general manager at Firehouse Subs for way too long, gives me some of the experience that I need to walk into these teams and facilitate as a leader would. So I hope that effectively answers your question.
Totally. My other question is, what's the biggest challenge you expect to see in this role, and how do you plan to overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge that I expect to see in this role is the dynamic of people. I think that is the hardest thing, for anybody not anybody, I don't want to generalize it, but for me at least, I think that it's a very difficult task, when you have, I guess, control over somebody's daily lived experience, to not only manage yours, but also have to kind of oversee theirs and have oversight to them too. I think that it's a hard task, and so it takes a lot of kind of looking within and doing a lot for you before you show up in other spaces for other people. And so I don't think it'll be difficult. I just think it is something that I'll be mindful of every day, because I have a large, will have, pending Senate ratification, have a large contributing part to a lot of people's daily lived experience. And that is not something I take light at all. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. My question for you, thank you, by the way, for Jakai for applying for this role. This is a big responsibility for sure. In your time here, your current position is Deputy Director of Basic Needs. What have you learned from this role in the few months you were here, and how do you think that will translate into your next role?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question. Senator Hill, can I ask you if you're asking if it is relating to what I know and have learned about ASCSU, or just learned in general?
Both. Yeah, do both.
Okay. As it relates to working in ASCSU, I don't know if you guys have had the chance of working with or speaking with Georgia White. She is my current director, and working under Director White has truly been a gift. This is one of many things that have, I think, propelled me and made me ready for this. I think that the level of work that the health department currently, which will be Basic Needs next year, does is phenomenal and it's really above and beyond. And I think that being put into the role of deputy director of health was monumental for how I understood ASCSU, how I showed up in the space, and my motivation to kind of get things done. So I hope that to answer your question, I can say I've learned the quality of work which we do, how fast paced it is, and kind of the significance and the weight of what we do. I want to attribute a lot of that to Director White, though. Her constant dedication, motivation, and strides in this and out of this organization have been monumental to my understanding of it as well.
Thank you, that's my question. Thank you, Madam Speaker. You.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I'm sorry, but we're now out of time for
Okay.
question and answer.
I was gonna yield the redundancy anyway. Motion to pass this particular.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? I'm gonna say the ayes have that one. With that, Senator Buckner. I am here. First, I just want to say I'm very proud of you. Okay. My question is, how do you approach managing conflicts amongst the different departments, and how do you ensure, goals and tasks are met?
I think that's a beautiful question. I want to say thank you for acknowledging me in this space. Y'all know I love Senator Buckner. That's my friend in real life. So I also want to secondly answer your question though and say that I think that is very real and it's going to be very true to our space, especially with the magnitude of the work that we get done and the quality of work which gets done. And so to mitigate, or not to even mitigate, but to navigate those struggles that could arise, it'll definitely be conversation based. I don't think that there's anything that can't be fixed with a conversation. I think that a big portion of misunderstanding or dislike or whatever you want to call it stems from misunderstanding each other, or maybe somebody misspeaking, or maybe intentions were missed. But I don't think there's anything that can't be solved through conversations and building those bridges and extending those olive branches for understanding. And so my method or strategy, whatever you would like to call it, for the conflict that may arise will be rooted in conversation. It needs to be had. And so I want to hope that effectively answers your question, my friend, but if it doesn't, let me know.
It does. I expect nothing less from you. I yield my time speaking. Thank you, Chair Bukhari.
I just want to say this candidate speaks for themselves in terms of their character. But we can move to the previous question.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? So the ayes have that one. Move on to a period of discussion. I'm going to ask you to step outside. This one was picked by our pro temp, Associate Ozor. What do you have to say?
Hi. As a person that I'm one of Jakai's close friends, and I can say that in working with him over the years and just getting to know him, I have the utmost confidence in this candidate. And as someone who actually saw the 21-page document that they were talking about before he, submitted it and was able to give him feedback on it, I can not only speak to his ability to collaborate with his peers and his dedication, but also his willingness to accept feedback. And so I think all of these qualities make Jakai an extremely strong candidate. And I motion to approve this candidate. With
still in discussion debate.
Oh, my bad. Discussion debate. My bad. Yeah.
If you want to make a discussion.
Yeah, I'll do discussion.
Great. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
So the ayes have one. We have to move on to a period of voting.
I'd like to motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to that motion? Hearing none, this candidate is ratified with unanimous consent.
Madam Speaker, we've done the motion.
put that folder down.
I state your name,
I, Jakai Nunley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent for a 5-minute recess.
All those in favor of a 5-minute recess, please say aye.
Unanimous.
Yes. Is there any dissent? All those,
Then I motion for unanimous 5 minutes.
all those in favor of having a 5-minute recess, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
I'm still gonna say the ayes have it. We'll meet back at 8:18.
I was so ready, Claudia. I was so sad.
14 bills still. 14. We have an hour and 30 minutes, 20 minutes.
It was actually
Not
my problem. I am really
Not our problem.
I am really serious.
Not our problem. Whatever.
I'm proud of you for speaking, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I called you.
Honestly,
I was fine with that. The only thing I'm hurt about is the previous question, but even that I will.
we sat all day. Lots of great questions catered to those people.
Whoa, she don't know.
Yes.
Alexa's a second reading. Is it gonna die?
The assistant accountant. Second reading. Yes.
Okay, should I just make a motion to kill it?
Sure.
I'll do that. Can I do that when we get back?
Is there any money?
No.
You can let us, you can't. Yeah.
We'll get her next year.
Sounds good.
Just send the bill to David literally and have him present to us first.
So when we start again, I'll just make a motion or what?
Yeah, that works.
But
Yeah, no, there's always.
I appreciate your honesty and my questions, yeah. Me too.
I don't want to put a stole on you because I feel like you would have hated it off of you, but like I wanted to. I had the temptation to
I
like.
was so annoyed when you wouldn't mention me at all.
Listen, I didn't want to push any more buttons. I was like, I have to call Parker. I have to say something.
So annoyed.
Too bad you had people standing for you at the back.
We were
yelling
your name. We wanted
You turned
were an
bright red.
Yeah,
It was.
my embarrassment was.
It was my favorite thing. That's why I didn't put a stole on you because I was like, I already pushed these buttons enough.
Yep. I would melt.
Well, yeah, you're gonna see them on Friday though. I don't see Justin again. I walk up and I keep going, I love you guys, goodbye. Goodbye.
You know, someone not very interested in work, but like,
I don't think it's fine, but you can tell. I don't know that they notified me. They're like, you got nominated, unfortunately. Did not get me, so I- Good. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. No, I know it's, I know it's that, like, but I was still, I don't want to graduate. Yeah, if they make me do that right after I leave, I'm gonna be crying, I'm gonna be like, alright, so.
I'm nominated for the Shining Star.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know about it. I know about the parliamentary awards, and then West one, and I'm hoping that Ally wins the next fall. I was nominated, I'm not back.
It's for non-graduate.
Okay, well, that one, yeah, try like, so that's why I'm nominating Ally. So if I, it helps me. And also, I'm my Ally award twice, kind of like, why are you an ally? Yeah.
Ava.
Yes.
Now, done with our period of time.
And I said that to Charlie when they nominated me,
10 seconds.
Yeah, like, definitely those parents looked at me like you are the only great kid here, and I was like, what? I am not, like, it's fine. It's fine. I have an ally. You're an ally. Staple it. Exit right back. Yeah. The one we act like the.
We're actually gonna end on time, y'all. We have a lot of stuff to do, not much time. With that, we move on to Bill 5322, Humanity and Community Act. Was there any edits made in committee for this piece of legislation? Chair Osland?
We made fairly small word choice edits in my committee, and I'm looking, hold on, I can't remember if we, yeah, and I think that's it, fairly small word choice edits.
Great. Was there any other edits made?
In university affairs, we made edits. I'm not entirely sure. And he is not here.
Does Chair Kelly have a vice chair? Nope.
Slay. And then the changes that we would be making in internal, we'll be making on the floor tonight. That makes DEI the last.
Yes. Any edits?
I believe we made edits to the abstract, specifically clarifying the intent. I'm trying to remember what exactly word for word they were. My brain is not working. But I do also know that we endorsed this bill as well. Or do we?
Sponsor.
I believe we sponsored. Sponsored, yes. I was working at my own name. And then supposedly we removed the Clarity Act portions of the bill. If you could scroll down to see if that was actually done.
It was done.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Does the author accept these changes?
I accept these changes, and unfortunately for y'all, I have floor edits to make. Thankfully, those edits have been sent in advance, so our parliamentarian just have to deal with me. Well, okay, so we've added, updated Chair Taylor's title to reflect that he is now Speaker of the Senate-elect. We have added the endorsements of the Accessibility Caucus, Colorado State University's Young Democratic Socialists of America, and Colorado State Students for Justice in Palestine. You could just go down a little bit more. We have updated the number of reported casualties by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, as well as the Committee to Protect Journalists, their numbers as well. So we've updated those. Not many other updates for a little while. Okay, we got rid of this whereas clause because it really wasn't relevant, and majority of the changes down here are updating citation numbers. Ooh, that's too zoomed. That's too zoomed. Nay. And then I think the only other we added OIE on there just to fit with everything else that we've done. Therefore clauses we added when ASCSU is calling for a ceasefire, we clarified an end to genocide of Palestinian people who are facing in Gaza, the West Bank, and the neighboring regions, since there's a lot of, at this point, a lot of spillover in that conflict. We made some clerical or some grammatical changes to the therefore clause for opposite equal opportunity. Just go down a little bit more. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. On this, we updated, this was a general update that we made in regards to the Clarity Act being more under discrimination bias reporting under OEO. We would put in under policies under Title 6, thank you, of the Civil Rights Act and relevant Colorado Revised Statute and CSU's policies respectively. Then we can keep scrolling down. And we've added the Assistant Director for APAC, Rachel Wada, if I'm pronouncing that right, slightly. And then we added Jonah Goose, who is the House Representative District for this district. And then Jared Polis was also added on the floor. So those are all the amendments that we have on the floor. If folks have any other amendments they'd like to make, now's the time.
I think DEI, we had added, if you go all the way back up to the abstract, I think that we had added the piece about, oh yeah, never mind, no, it is there. I yield.
Great. This is on its final week, so we open up a period of discussion and debate. Chairman Alty.
Thank you, thank you. I love having my voice heard. Besides that, I think this piece of legislation is very powerful, very important that we do pass. It's very apparent that we need that even across colleges, students have power. While youth in Columbia would be so upset about their students protesting. And I think pieces of legislation like this show that we do care about our student body. We do care about our students who are affected by this, and we do care about the people who are affected by this, because at the end of the day, we're all people, and something like this does not need to be happening. I think set writing and supporting this piece of legislation to not only just the university itself to show the message that, hey, the students care. They don't want this genocide going on is important. And I think also forwarding it to not only our state representatives but also our elected officials within higher government positions that we seek to one day hold, that we hope that we get this type of information and legislation from people who care and are affected by this. I think this is important to sign on. I yield the rest of my time, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe the bill speaks on its importance on its own, but I want to address two things. One, I've heard that from some folks, it is not our place to speak on this issue, that ASCSU has no power on this issue, so why should we say anything? And I'd like to leave a quote to challenge that idea. This is a quote by Alice Walker. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. My second point, kind of adding on to that, currently there are no universities left standing in Gaza. The healthcare system has collapsed, and aid being sent to the region has been gatekept and destroyed by Israeli security forces. We currently are seeing the bravery of hundreds of thousands of students from across the country protesting and refusing to be silent on the ongoing genocide we are seeing. So why should we remain silent when we have the power and the influence to add to this conversation, to add on to the mounting pressure to stop the atrocities that we are seeing? We have people on campus who are suffering from our silence. And if you feel neutrality is the way to approach, let me leave you with one final quote. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. By Archbishop Desmond Tutu. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Charleston. Whenever things like this happen, I get really scared because I am Palestinian. The past 201 days, I have watched the genocide of my people happen, and I have watched the university I chose to attend remain silent. I have watched people advocate for me. I have been one of the people advocating for us. CSU can't continue to be silent. We have a huge amount of Palestinians in the state of Colorado, and a lot of us choose to come to CSU because it is close to our families, and to us, family is the most important thing. In Gaza right now, as reported by Al Jazeera 11 hours ago, there were over 34,000 deaths. That is larger than the size of this campus. Every single person at this campus, if we were in Gaza, would be dead. The education system collapsed very early on. The healthcare system collapsed.
very early on. My family members have died there. My family members in Lebanon are under attack, and I live in constant paralyzing fear that one day I will get a call and my father will tell me that my grandfather is dead and that I will never get the chance to say goodbye to him. CSU can't continue to remain silent. We as people can't continue to remain silent. When we look back in our history books, people will ask us what we did, how we let this happen. I ask myself how we let this happen. I ask myself how I let this happen. I've been Palestinian for 21 years, my entire life, and it is my greatest honor to be Palestinian. It is my greatest honor to carry my name. It is my greatest fear that I will be the last one of my family left. Please, 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 I urge you, my people need a ceasefire. There's nothing, we can't live without a ceasefire. And it has to be permanent. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Ayala Madi.
Hey guys, if I could clarify really quickly, it's Zia Amadi. Thank you. One second. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank Chair Trout for doing such extensive research to prepare this bill. His research created an impressive lack of ambiguity. I agree with the stance of this bill on several issues, most important of which being the sentiment that any type of hatred due to the culture, religion, or race of a CSU student is abhorrent. The ASCSU Senate cannot condemn anti-Semitism and Islamophobia enough. I'd also like to say that I thank Chair Aslan, I think, for speaking. Death is terrible whenever it happens. Every life is precious, and I'm sorry that she has to go through this. I really am. However, I have to say I break with the bill on the issue of genocide, and because of this, I cannot vote for the bill. The first issue I have with this bill is obviously the belief that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. I do not agree with this distinction because I do not believe that there is nearly enough evidence in this bill to accuse Israel of committing genocide, and it just doesn't put the claim beyond reasonable doubt. Genocide is the crime of all crimes, and I'm not willing to accuse Israel of genocide without more evidence. The best evidence given was the ruling of the ICJ. However, the ICJ's ruling was preliminary, and the author of the Humanity and Community Act goes so far as to acknowledge this. The ICJ, this is a quote, the ICJ confirmed that it does have jurisdiction to hear the case submitted by South Africa and issued 6 emergency orders to Israel, 4 of the 6 being approved, 15-2, and the last 2 being approved 16-1, with the sole dissenting judge being Judge Julia Sebutinde, I believe, of Uganda. The case is still ongoing and could take years for a final decision to be made by The Hague. So this is preliminary. I do believe, of course, 30,000 people. It's awful. It's terrible. I can't say that enough. I don't agree with war. I don't agree with any of it. But when you're talking about war, you're talking about 2 sides, and you're talking about people who this bill does state died on October 7th, and you're talking about the perpetrators still being out there. And I can't get behind the genocide conclusion because I do believe Israel has a right to go after Hamas. And I also would question us being involved in this, considering the fact that we are not masters of statecraft. We're not masters of foreign policy. We're simple university students. And while I do believe condemning or being upset at the death of all of these people is correct and righteous, and again, every life is precious, I cannot get behind the calls of genocide. The other piece of evidence presented were the comments of former UN official Craig Mohiber, I think, I'm not good with Arabic, who is currently under review due to complaints from the Israeli lobby. The former UN official accused Israel of genocide. While this is an important piece of information, the accusing Israel of genocide is not scholarly consensus. Here's an excerpt from Time printed shortly after the former UN official's comments. Dave Simon, director of Genocide Studies program at Yale University, says that Israel has only explicitly said they want to exterminate Hamas and has not directly stated intent to destroy a religious, ethnic, or racial group. Simon says it's possible a court could conclude that either Hamas or some evident elements of the IDF could be found guilty of committing an act of genocide, but it's certainly not textbook in the connecting the intent to destroy an ethnic group as such is difficult. Ben Kiernan basically agrees. The other issue here is that there are multiple definitions of genocide being worked with. Hinton noted that when the former UN official called it a textbook case of genocide, he seemed to be drawing on a more social scientific understanding that looks at settler colonialism and sort of a long-term gradual erasure of a group. But all that being said, so far the evidence presented in this bill seems like it would offer the same conclusion that the ICJ came to, that we aren't sure a genocide is happening in Gaza and that we had to wait for more evidence before we make a judgment on the issue. Genocide is the crime of all crimes, as I said before, and because it is so uniquely terrible, I cannot in good conscience accuse a nation of genocide without enough evidence. This is not to belittle the loss of life in Gaza. Every life is precious and every death is a tragedy. It is awful that 30,000 plus people have died in Gaza. I do agree with this bill on the call to end the war. I want that to happen, but I also want Hamas to be completely exterminated. So with that, I yield my time.
Thank you. Associate Camber. So I'm gonna pull my adult card for a second here. I'm 32 years old. I began understanding the Palestinian-Israeli conflict when I was in 6th grade. So my understanding of this conflict is not entirely up to date with recent events. But these were recurring themes in the wake of 9/11, Islamophobia reaching its peak in my lifetime right after that event. And I will say that the thing that we really need to focus on here is the students that are being affected. This is what we do here. This is what this always comes back to. And this is, I think that when we center the students and asking for ceasefire, we're not asking too much. I think we're asking for sort of the bare minimum. And I think that when we make distinctions, we can't clarify enough. What I can say is prior to October 7th, in my lifetime, we have seen violations of the Geneva Conventions over and over again. And I think that we have an opportunity to reflect, when we think about people choosing sides, I'm not asking people to choose sides, but I am asking people to reflect what the United States role in this is. And at the end of the day, there is a side where blood is on our hands. And I think that we just need to reflect on that and put our students first, because they are the ones being harmed here at CSU for their various identities. And we need to speak out against that. And I don't think there's anywhere, any time, any place where calling for peace is a bad thing. I yield. Thank you. Chair Bukhari.
Hello, everyone. Just a few things about the bill. First off, the Office of Inclusive Excellence, Equal Opportunity, hasn't had their, their policies updated since 2006, and this bill does address that. The other thing is, CSU has a task force for anti-Semitism, but there's none for transphobia, Islamophobia, xenophobia, any phobia you can think of, which is pretty selective if you think about it, because these populations do exist and their identities are sacred in their own sense. And I do want to put out there that to say that this space doesn't have a voice does two things. One, it ignores the fact that we are on indigenous land and there's genocide in America. And two, it negates the fact that you represent 750 students and you're silencing all those voices saying this space does not have a voice. So effectively saying that this space cannot make change, you are silencing the voices of those 700 people you represent. The reason I harp upon that is, yes, recruitment and retention, but that is a lot of people. And like my co-chair here, well, I never said that, that's crazy. This campus would not exist if it was in Gaza, right? Like that number is insane, We may not fill up Canvas Stadium, we may never have Pitbull present here, but at the same time, if that campus was full, it'd be gone. And that loss of life in any sense is unimaginable and should not be tolerated. And unfortunately, we are repeating history. And there were calls even I'm not gonna plot a history lesson here because I'm not that informed, and that was the high school me. But it's interesting to see calls against genocide time and time again. And effectively, as you slowly trying to normalize it or desensitize people, people start losing their consciousness about it. They start ignoring it. Instagram recently released a feature where it silences political posts to censor. It automatically censors posts for folks, which I think is pretty inhumane. But we're asking for your support in this bill just to get our voice out there, because while you may not have the financial means, you may not be able to go there and support, your voice is enough sometimes. And that in unison and in collectivism, I feel like that's the fight and grit of the human spirit sometimes. But with that, I yield.
Thank you. Associate Luna.
I just think we have an incredible privilege to be able to, one, speak at this moment about this, and also to put out this statement. And I say a privilege, not a right, because unfortunately students across the nation are being stripped of that right to express their opinion and call for the attention to this horrible act that's being done. And I just say this after seeing today many of my friends at the University of Texas at Austin experiencing quite literally police in riot gear at their campus over a peaceful protest, calling for the University of Texas to divest from Israeli contributions and things of the sort. So I think it's important to not turn a blind eye to history, and also not to repeat it. And I just wanted to conclude my thoughts with the final two lines from a poem. I had the privilege of meeting Naomi Shihab Nye 2 years in a row, and she has got to be one of the most eloquently speaking people I've ever met. And she's also Palestinian American, and I have had the privilege of understanding and learning about the troubles that she has faced, and the troubles her family has faced, and the loss that she has experienced. So this is a poem that she actually read to my class in high school, entitled Before I Was a Gazan. And just the last two, the entire poem in its entirety is beautiful, but the last two lines are something I would like to especially highlight. They read, "And now I would do anything for a problem I could solve." Thank you, I yield.
We are now out of time for discussion and debate.
With that, we move to a period of voting. Chairperson.
Wait, can I motion to extend discussion and, yes. Can I motion to exhaust the speakers list?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Right, the ayes have it. Chairperson, you're next.
Is there anyone else on the speakers list? Is there any possibility that they could go first if my blood sugar is low? I don't know if that's a possibility.
That is not a possibility, I'm sorry.
Okay, kind of personal privilege, that's an accommodation, that's not just a like, I need time to think. Like, she should be able to postpone to deal with medical.
I second that.
Right, but it's a specifically a combination, which overrules all of that.
Point of privilege, sorry.
Thank you.
I need just a second before my blood sugar goes up.
Yeah, it's okay if I just call on you after the next person.
Amazing, perfect, thank you.
Associate Myers.
I support the Humanity and Community Act wholeheartedly and think that it's an incredibly well thought out piece of legislation. In times like we are in today, where Columbia University students have been arrested for protesting and countless other universities have limited their students' right to protest, we have to speak out. We must use the power that we have as representatives to condemn the Israeli assault on Palestinians, as well as to call attention to the injustices happening in our own country. As student representatives, we have an obligation to help our colleagues across the country to amplify their message of a free Palestine and to make it clear that no one can take our voice away. I cannot vote on this legislation, but if I could, it would be an enthusiastic yes. and I encourage everyone to vote yes on this. Free Palestine. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you. You need more time. Okay. Senator Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank everybody for their involvement in writing this bill. A lot of work has been placed in it. I will not be voting. Yeah, I will start off by saying that I will not be voting yes on this piece of legislation. I think that this is a this is probably, to put it bluntly, this is too big for us. I think that we are not legislative officials. We are not trained to handle these, type matters. And I think that, we need to, I think, going back and focusing, that's something that's, I know this is a very controversial issue, and so I cannot vote, and I cannot also ignore anti-Semitism going around the country either. I understand that the deaths of so many innocent Gazans have happened, and I beg our public officials, but regarding the Columbia University, unfortunately, there has been a lot of mass arrests for protests, but there's also been a lot of anti-Semitic remarks as well from the protesters, saying stuff like you should go, quote unquote, you should go back to Poland and stuff like that. And those type of stuff I cannot ignore. And anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and anti-Semitism should both have no place in this country. And I think that everybody should be treated with respect. But I do think that this bill is too big for us to handle as a student government. So therefore, I cannot, in good conscience, vote on this bill. Thank you. I yield.
Chair Taylor.
Well, I will begin by saying that I completely support the right of students on this university to peacefully assemble and to speak as they wish. In fact, I love seeing that on both sides of big and complicated issues like this. I love seeing people get active and involved. And so I do like that this bill is a reflection of students getting active and involved. Additionally, the loss of innocent life on both sides of this is awful. And I know that students on this campus have been impacted by that. And that's a tragic thing to have happen. Ultimately, I think that, as Senator Hill said, this bill is beyond us, and that with as this bill says, with Americans still being held hostage, I cannot, in good conscience, get behind a call for a ceasefire without the release of those hostages. However, I do completely support the initiative taken by everybody involved with this bill. So I haven't fully decided how I'm going to be voting yet, but I do just like to see the involvement and the advocacy on behalf of students in this, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Lastly, okay. And thank you for your patience with my blood sugar. I love diabetes. Okay. I want to first off say that this is a really important piece of legislation. And while this bill may not end up on the desk of someone in Israel, it is going to be affecting the students on this campus. And I think, as Faraz was saying earlier, we represent at least 750 students. There's a very good chance that even one of those students is Palestinian. And we need to be able to be a voice for them. I believe in in transformative justice. And if you don't know what transformative justice is, it's basically like a tree. You have the roots of the issue, and then you have this big old tree. And if you are just trying to cut away at the branches or do whatever you want to do to that tree, it's not actually solving the issue of the tree. You have to go down to the roots and to the community. And so while we are here in the United States and we are in positions that don't have that much power over what is happening politically, we do have power on this campus. And as we can see from historical events, that is where real change starts, is on this level, is on the grassroots level. And so I think we need to come together to support these students on campus, because while we can go into all of the logistics, all of the politics, it's all very complicated. At the end of the day, people are dying, and that is affecting the students here. And so I need to do right by my constituents, and right by my friends, and right by people I don't even know, in order to show that we care, and that as a student body, we're going to use our voices in order to stand up for what we believe in. I would also like everyone to think about, think of a social justice leader that you look up to, someone from history. Would they simply say this issue was too big? If their issue was too big? Would they have been leaders of their movement? And so we need to, my blood sugar's coming back and hitting me. Just think, first of all, with this legislation empathetically, and think with your heart, and realize that this is something that we can make a change on for the students on this campus. I yield my time.
Thank you. With that, we move into a period of voting. I'm gonna ask that we just do this by voice vote.
I'd like to make a motion to use a roll call vote.
Second.
All those in favor of doing the vote by roll call? If you need clarification on that, please ask now. Great. All those in favor of doing a vote by roll call, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Well, I'll say the ayes have it. We'll be doing this vote by roll call. Can I clerk call the roll? I'm gonna call everybody, and if you cannot vote, please just tell me that you can't vote. Chair Bakari.
No vote.
Senator Cole Johnson.
Abstain.
Oh.
Clarification, I can't vote.
I'm chair. That's all I have. Probably too late.
Senator Ati. Yes. Chair Osborne. Yes. He was. Chair Benanti.
Yes.
Senator Hill.
No.
Senator Schumer. Senator Chacon. Yes. Senator Snyder.
Yes.
Chair Taylor.
Abstain.
Chair Trout.
Aye. Free Palestine.
Senator Davis. Yes. Chair Frisky. Yes. Senator Reese. Senator Barron. Yes. Associate Senator Camber. Yes. Senator Lasser.
Abstain.
Associate Senator Alvarez. Senator Pickerel.
Yes.
Senator Yankowski. Yes. Senator Buckner. Yes. Associate Senator Ozor.
Abstain.
Associate Senator Leggett.
Can't vote.
Associate Senator Miller.
Associate Senator Myers.
In Senator Reese's absence, yes.
Associate Senator Burke. Senator Salazar. Senator Rivera.
Yes.
Senator Zayamani. I'm still not saying that right, sorry.
It's okay. No.
Associate Senator Hernandez. Associate Senator Descharnes. Associate Senator Luna. And Associate Senator Bogard.
With a vote of 16 to 2 to 5, this passes.
Point of information that is clearly exceeds a 2/3 threshold. Would that be correct?
Yes, Smith. With that, we move on.
All right, motion to take off the accounting Lex, because it's gonna die anyway. Because you need 3 readings and it's the last one. It's only second reading. Building. Can't next battle Lex. No. Unfortunately, we'll get them next year though.
Thank you. Does not need a second. He is the author, so he has author rights to pull his bill. We're gonna move on to Bill 5321, Bill Central Solos. Any edits made in committee? Chairman Natu?
So we just made clarifications to how much is getting actually distributed, I believe, for the payment. Don't remember what's there for clause. Yes, that therefore clause. We just made it clear that 1,000 for each SDPS center for a total of 14,000.
Any other edits made in committee? Whoever made this giant edit? Oh, Chair also.
We added the forwarding list and we added the endorsements and sponsorships and a lot of things. We also endorsed it. Most of the edits that I made were made after committee because of my committee's ask, but we did endorse it.
I did forget to add that we also endorsed this.
Thank you. Any other chairs make edits? I don't know if anyone went to Graham's on this hit his, but does anyone know Chair Kelly made any edits?
There was no edits made in University Affairs.
Okay. Did the authors accept these changes?
We do. Yeah. Yes, we do.
Perfect. With that, we move on to a period of discussion and debate. Chair Charles.
Yeah, if you all want to go say that, you can. But I want to thank the bill authors for presenting this. Also, if y'all could really quickly flex off the regalia, the skulls that y'all want. Flex them off. Look how pretty those are. I think it's important that ASCSU fund these because I mean those are pretty, and if you say otherwise, you're just wrong. That's just that. With that, you.
Thank you. I think I saw another one. I don't remember. Does anyone else have anything to add? Chair Riccardi?
I just want to say graduation means a lot of different things for a lot of folks, right? And just as you spend 4 years in a college, you also spend 4 years in these support systems called the SDPS offices. Quick plug, we do a lot of great events. APAC is throwing spring roll this Saturday, but that's besides the point. And this bill essentially helps give more. It recognizes that these communities exist and funding is going to a good cause. And it's like a senior send-off, right? These folks have put in the time into their offices, making events, advocating for students. They have a lot of peer mentorship programs, which are pretty awesome, by the way. So we definitely appreciate your support in this bill. I yield to Chair Osman. Sorry, I yield, sorry.
Thank you, Associate Kimber.
I just want to say that it is a privilege and an honor to be able to receive a degree or to be honored in that way, in a way that reflects your personal identities and where you come from and how hard you've gotten, how hard you've worked to get here. And, you know, you don't just drop those identities at the door. They're a part of you, every part of this journey. And not everyone in the state of Colorado has the opportunity or the privilege to be able to honor those identities at their graduation. And I would never want to be a force to get in the way of that. So I wholeheartedly support this, and I encourage everyone else to do so as well. And I'd like to move, I'd like to exhaust the speakers list.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay. Move to exhaust the speakers list. Last person is Chair Osman.
Those are so expensive. I'm only able to wear, wow, that's really close. I'm only able to wear my homeland's flag because it was given to me as a gift from, very ironically, a pro staff member of the SDPS offices. The support the SDPS offices give to the students at CSU is immense. And y'all, like a lot, we can't even fully understand it, but they do so much for us. And I think as ASCSU, it's time for us to do something for them, but also, believe it, I think it's yours. I might be, yours is handmade. That is a whole handmade stole. Look at that. Someone stitched that. That's expensive. That's someone's time. That's someone's care and someone's love. And El Centro is trying their hardest and their best to make sure that their students feel that love one final time before they leave CSU. And they're also trying to make sure that the rest of the SDPS cluster is able to share that love with their students. I wholeheartedly support this bill. I yield. Thank you.
With that, we move to a period of voting. Speak first. One of you.
Motion to pass this bill with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, this bill is passed unanimous consent.
Okay, so we have a lot of legislation that is in its final read that was not added to the agenda. So the question is now, do we want to add those bills to the agenda to read them, or will they just die? I hear a lot of dies, but first one would be amending ASCSU election guidance. Die or stay? I'm hearing a lot of dies, so we'll move on.
That's crazy.
Next one, transparency. Die or stay? Or do you want Ava to actually do a vote?
That one.
Yeah.
Chair Christie.
Were these all sent out in the weekly emails?
Yeah, there was an entire zip.
Amazing. There's just a lot in there. Cool. Thank you.
Great. Associate Camber.
When we're reviewing whether or not to let proceed or kill a piece of legislation, would this be on a third?
Yes, this is its third.
Okay. Yes. And then for in the future, can we have every piece that we're reviewing that mentioned where it's at? Okay. Yeah. All right. With that, I yield.
Great. Would we like to hear this piece of legislation one more time?
Point of order, the author is not here. Is this still being read? Because, point of order, because this was not collaborated with or written by any other senator, I believe only Senator
For
Vader
its last read, I do not believe it needs to have the author present.
We'll take a vote.
Point of order still stands.
So, as Parker said, the author does not have to be here on the final read. I do know they have to be here for the presentation of the bill when it's first read, and I know for these bills, the author is asked to be there on its last read, just because they write the bill. But it also says that for extraneous circumstances, that the author does not have to be present for the piece of legislation. Any other questions? Alrighty, we'll vote, I guess. Senator Davis, what are we voting on? So Parker could probably explain this the best, but we have a lot of pieces of legislation that kind of just, if they don't get heard, they will die. Like they just won't make it back. So we're going through all those pieces of legislation, kind of being like, well, this is the last chance they get. That kind of explains.
So we're voting just like to hear it at its last reading and to vote on it?
Yes, that is correct.
Cool.
There you go. All those in favor of hearing this bill for its last reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
I'm gonna do this by placard, y'all. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Anyone can vote on this. Great, you put your placards down. All opposed, raise your placards. You put your placards down. All abstentions. Yeah. Hey, you can put your placards down. This is probably one of the closest votes we ever had.
Oh.
Of a 7 to 7 to 8 vote, we are not hearing this piece of legislation. Moving on to the next piece.
Next piece of legislation on the maybe to be heard file is
We're not doing new business yet.
BSOFT and Constitution budgetary edits, reconciling the Constitution and BSOFT bylaws.
Do we need to go through this again, or do we just want to continue just vote? Oh,
For the record, point of order, the author is not here.
Again, it's the last read still, and so the author does not need to be here.
we'll just vote. All those who want to hear this piece of legislation, please say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One eye on Zoom.
Great, we're not going to hear this piece of legislation. This is the one time I've heard about
Okay, next one is, where is it? Addressing a loophole in the BSOFT regulations.
All those in favor. Do we need any clarification on these bills? Or now that I asked? Yeah, I know. Great, we're gonna move to voting. All those in favor of hearing this piece of legislation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Wait, I'm actually gonna say it with a half, and it needs a 2/3.
Oh.
So this doesn't pass. Yay! Anything else?
I think that's all of them.
Great. With that, we move to new business. Onto Bill 5327, the long bill. Associate Camber.
I'd like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
That will have to be a no unless you don't want to finish anything, as we are almost out of time. We have 30 minutes left.
I'll rescind, let's move.
Doesn't recess pause the confidence clause?
Ooh.
Since when?
Since this entire time. The conference class has never paused when we've gone on recess, y'all. You didn't know this.
That explains a lot.
So,
It's
yeah.
supposed to, but.
Vice President?
Hello, everyone. I am your vice president, and that means that I do stuff with SFRB, and the last thing I have to do with SFRB is the longbow. We have our beautiful Magic Mike here tonight, who is the primary advisor of SFRB and has been the primary advisor for 15 years, which is pretty fantastic. We also have advisement from two other individuals, Jennifer Fisher and Angie Nielsen, which focus on the finance and budgetary aspect, one that works within the LSC and one that works within the Office of the University Budget. So we have a lot of advisement, but we also had a lot of members this year. As you can see from the endorsements, we had 23 members persist throughout the year, which was really impressive and really fantastic. We had a lot of representation across the board. I have a presentation, but who wants to see it? Who doesn't want to see it? Great. It has all the same information that is on the bill, which is pretty cool. But I do want to talk about the bill because there are some important things, as there were multiple different fee increases. And there's also a fiscal note that we decided to use this year, which is pretty different. But yeah, so most of the whereas clauses basically talk about just the existence of SFRB, the things included within the Constitution and the bylaws that basically talk about our existence, like why we exist, how we function, and all of that. So if this passes tonight in the Senate, this is then sent to the Board of Governors. If it's not passed tonight, I really don't know what happens. But we'll figure that out. That's what y'all will decide. In terms of fee areas that did not ask for fee increases, we have the Adult Learners and Veteran Services, Committee for Disabled Student Accessibility, CSU Health Network, Medical Services, Interpersonal Violence Response and Safety, Student Legal Services.
Point of order, this bill was not the bill that was sent out in the weekly email.
Yes.
So if there are changes to it, we can make those on the floor, but you have to read out those changes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they are coming up and they are all in the highlight, which, yeah, I totally skipped the first one, but we'll get back there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Student Legal Services, University Facility Fee, and University Technology Fee. So none of these had requested a student fee, and we voted all of these through. In terms of the overall student fee, which in the presentation came last, which is why I skipped it, we have a final increase for fall year 25 of 2.32%, which is pretty good. I forget how it compares to last year. I think it's pretty similar.
To reiterate this point, all things made in yellow were changed from the original document.
Yes.
Right, but.
And they'll be red.
I mentioned that they are edits.
Yes, yeah. These are 4 edits. So the 2.32 is just a 4 edit made by me, the author. And then moving down to talk about the actual fee increases. It was a cent off in the bill that was sent out, but 83 cents increase for a total of 2.95% increase for the ASCSU fee area, with most of that money going to mandatory fee increases, but there was a non-mandatory fee increase specifically for BSOF, which put an extra $50,000 towards BSOF. Athletics, oh, you're skipping it. Athletics debt service fee, a $5 increase for a total of 98.62% increase. The athletics fee itself is a lot larger. This is just the debt service. This was in relation to the soccer and softball fields that were built. Athletics came in and said inflation because of COVID drove up the prices tremendously, but we felt as a board they weren't being completely transparent or communicative with what was going on. So we added this fiscal note that hopefully goes to the Board of Governors, which reads, the Student Fee Review Board believes that the lack of communication and fiscal transparency has put additional and unnecessary financial pressure on the CSU student body. The SFRB voted yes on the $5 increase because we understand the negative implications of voting no on student athletes and employees within CSU athletics, specifically female sports teams. We didn't include that part, but that's really the sports teams that it was going to impact, was the softball and soccer sport teams. Student Recreation Center fee had a $5.27 increase for a total of 6.33% increase. This was just for mandatory costs, so salary increases for staff and all of that. They also had a 75-cent increase for a total of 4.67% increase within their recreation sports fee. line item. This was an initiative brought forward by a student, specifically the president of the Nordic ski club. And all of that 75 cents will go back to the sports teams. And so this will help them in terms of traveling, buying equipment, and whatnot that they would usually have to fundraise for themselves, which can take a lot of time out of their day, in addition to having to train, be a student, and all that. The Career Center fee had a $3.15 increase for a total of 8.72% increase, once again for mandatory reasons. CSU Health Network Counseling Services fee had a $2 increase for a total of 3.51% increase, also mandatory. The Lori Student Center Operations fee had a $9 increase for a total of 6.35% increase. You can thank Mike Ellis for that, the biggest fee increase of the night, but it's also very necessary. And the LSC is the second largest fee collected, right after UFAB. RAM events fee had a 17-cent increase for a total of 1.66% increase. Off-campus life had a 56-cent increase for a total of 3.84% increase. University Center of the Arts fee had a 55-cent increase for a total of 3.47% increase. They also had a non-mandatory ask for costume staff that we ended up voting no on because we weren't confident in their ability to use that fee, and there wasn't a lot of conversation beforehand about where the rest of the funds for that position were going to come from because they were only asking for half funding from us. Slides fee had a 64-cent increase for a total of 3% increase. Student Resolution Center had a 19-cent increase for a total of 2.52% increase, both of those being mandatory. And then lastly, the alternative transportation fee had a $3.35 increase for a total of 9.96% increase. And this is in correlation with Braxton Dietz' permanent and temporarily disabled shuttle program in addition to the shuttle program for the UCA. And so ATFAB was able to put in forget how much money, but they contributed money, and then we were able to contribute money in the form of student fees in order to make this program happen. Which ASCSU itself has also put in money for this project. So a lot of money is coming from a lot of different sources. I'm going to keep scrolling down and make sure I didn't miss anything else. Okay, and that is it. I would like to ask for a motion to expedite tonight, but I'm also here to answer any questions, comments, concerns.
We're going to start with the Q&A period for the first record. I will also be clarifying that when we do decide to vote on this piece of legislation, we are voting that they follow their guidelines. We're not voting on the fees, if they should pass or not. They already have. We're just voting on if they follow the rules. Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that clarification. I do have concerns with the athletics department service fee in noting that athletics department, which as a previous member of SFRB, I know that they like to keep things kind of to themselves. And that's kind of to bash athletics a little bit, but that's beef between me and them, whatever. So I worry that SFRB will be setting a precedent by voting yes on it, even though there's a lack of communication and a lack of athletics' part to do their job. And I understand the negative implication of voting no on that, but I guess I would like a little bit more, I guess, clarification on where SFRB kind of fell in making that decision, if that makes sense.
100%. Athletics and sports fees, so the student-led one and then athletics were the two most complicated fee areas because we actually had them present multiple times. So athletics came in a second time. The first vote was no. And so I didn't feel comfortable just leaving it there, especially with Joe Parker had been removed from his position the day after they presented. And so it just felt like a crazy time, especially for the athletics department. So I had multiple meetings with Matt Klein, who is the chief financial officer for athletics. And they were able to come back and represent, and they presented a more clear budget in terms of what the student fees actually go towards within athletics and not providing their giant budget, which was really helpful, but they provided both. And so we were able to see that in terms of like the decision we came to, students, like it was mentioned in the fiscal note, students understood that this would have negative implications on the student employees and the students that benefited from athletics. And so By voting yes, we are wanting to support those students, but we also want to point out that, especially that initial presentation, we had a lot of concerns. And so the fact that they were able to come back and the board voted yes, almost unanimously. The fact that the board voted yes means that they're moving in the right direction, but we want to make sure that not only us as a student fee review board, but there's also higher ups that are noticing that and making sure that they're being more fiscally transparent.
Okay, and that was kind of getting into my next question of how the SFRB voted, but you said nearly unanimous, okay. Super slay. And the big reason why I bring that up is it's less of SFRB, it's a policy thing, but SFRB has a legal obligation to oversee that. That is Colorado by statute that gives ASCSU and therefore SFRB the authority to do it. So I just wanted to make sure that athletics is being held accountable in some way for being silly goofy, which it sounds like they were, and also ensuring that y'all were upholding your legal obligations and ensuring that student fee dollars are being used well. So thank you for that clarification, Vice President Silverhart. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. First question, I was there for the, yes vote and everything. As I was a member, then resigned. But this no vote, do you think this is setting a precedent that we're telling them, hey, giving them an answer and within the same year, we're just changing our mind like that? Do you think that's setting a precedent that perhaps like we can just, do you think that maybe perhaps illegitimizes the board if we do that? Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. The fact that not only did myself and Braxton and the two theory liaisons meet with athletics after their presentation and before their second presentation, but the fact that they were able to come back a second time, in my opinion, take it a lot more seriously. They had a much different demeanor and they approached it in a different way to the point where students understood more the situation that they were in. I think if anything, it'll set a precedent specifically for athletics to come and take this conversation very seriously. No, they don't receive a lot of the money that they get from student fees, but we still fund a large portion of their non-revenue sports. And so I think, especially with the new leadership that came in, I think it will set a positive precedent in terms of the way in which athletics approaches their presentation as a party.
Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Associate Camber. So does this sort of, what did you say then? This is sort of like a serious warning rather than an absolute no?
Yes, especially understanding the history that the board has had with athletics. It's always hard to tell how that information gets relayed up to the higher members of our campus and the board of governors. Sometimes presidents have the opportunity to relay that information up to boards. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it depends on the relationship between the vice president and the president. So I'm hoping Nick can relay some of this information during that meeting. But I think more importantly, having it written down and having it on a physical document that they're able to read and be like, 23 students voted on this. And this is what they wanted to say to us. I think that hopefully will hold some level of importance and significance to the point where maybe there is a conversation with the leadership among athletics.
And then you just kind of touched on it, but I was going to ask if you were planning on putting this in your letter to your successor.
100. So yeah, Braxton has been on the SFRB this entire year, which I'm super excited about. And he was actually very eager to meet with athletics and start this conversation of, yes, we voted no, and how can we move forward? And the conversation was never, we want to get them to $5. The conversation was, we want to get the student fee review.
We are running out of time, so.
That's okay. Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay.
I yield.
I mean, now it's just to be expedited.
I move to expedite.
Second. And we, with a point of order, when we move to expedite, do we need to have 10 minutes of discussion debate on whether to expedite it though?
No. We don't have to have it. And I'd ask that we don't. We are running out of time. Madam Speaker, may I make my motion? I move to expedite with unanimous consent. Any dissent? Seeing none, we have expedited this bill. We open up a period of discussion and debate. Chair Trout.
Hi, y'all. I know that was the athletics thing is something that folks have concerns on. But after hearing Vice President Silverhart's justification how SFRB came to that decision, I have confidence that they followed their bylaws. And that is at the end, or their procedures, and that is at the end of the day what we are approving. And with that in mind, I would like to motion the previous question.
Second.
Point of order, I do not believe substantial discussion, debate, or pursuant to our bylaws have occurred on this motion.
Does anyone disagree with Sammy's position?
I disagree.
Okay, then you may give your statement.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I will vote no on this piece of legislation. Listen, my big concern is the athletics. Athletics for so many years has pushed for a fee increase, in which we have granted. Unfortunately, this year they didn't. Initially, we did vote no, or the support B did vote no on this, and because of the athletics, because of certain issues.
Point of information, Senator Hope, can you tell me how this relates to the process of how they got here? Because that's the only thing we get to vote on.
We're voting on whether this was legitimate, am I correct?
Yeah, but like that they followed their process. That's all we get to vote on.
Okay. I am saying that I do not believe that saying yes and then changing our mind within the same thing is following the process, in my opinion. So that is why I'll be voting on it.
Great. Was there any other? Senator Davis? I was just gonna motion to previous question. We followed it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Great. We close the period of discussion, debate, and the period of voting. Then it's a voice vote. All those in favor of saying that SFRB followed their rules, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The bill
I'll
passes.
take it. Thank you, everyone. Good night. I'll see y'all at eyeball next week.
The next bill is election.
Yes. Just start.
This is gonna be so quick for you guys, okay? Because I don't want to waste your time. So, this is just presentation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. There is not a lot of things that we changed this time around. And I'll go through them really quickly. We've got basically all the whereas clauses. Not really a lot is said there. Once you get into the therefore, we've got a couple of things right off the bat. Section, what is that? 6, subsection 7 will be changed to explain the roles and also how the vice chair will come into power. We had a little bit of confusion with that this year, so we just wanted to clarify that. And then the following one will just be, making sure that the rest of them stay as they are and then moving their numbers. Following that, we've got there has been one edit that will be made on the floor as well, that will be striking the, which one is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Striking the 5th and the 6th, therefore clauses, just seeing as they're no longer relevant. And after proactively taking this bill into committee, we decided to no longer make that decision. And then besides that, we have section 10, subsection 6 being changed to reflect that candidates must not suggest students should or should not vote against candidates on the basis of religion, race, disability, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, military status, national origin, or age, pregnancy, veteran status, and etc. And then I think we've got a couple other ones, such as subsection 10, changing subsection 7 for ASCSU materials to clarify that the reposting of official ASCSU digital marketing materials is permissible, as the elections committee works closely with marketing to pass hey, go vote in the elections type stuff on Instagram, and we believe the candidates should be able to utilize the stuff that we provide. And then the other part is section 10, subsection 8, changing that candidates and campaigns should be prohibited from utilizing items provided by student fee dollars. Just clarifying there that reposting of digital marketing materials is exempt from that, because reposting something on Instagram is okay. And then the only other, we've got a couple more, just
Section 10, subsection 11, now subsection 10, will be that adding that all university housing, including Ivy Village, the International House, graduate student buildings, and residence halls will all be prohibited from campaigning in. Then we have section 10, subsection 15, in which all candidates are prohibited from switching personal social media accounts to campaign accounts. We're just clarifying what switching is, so we literally just add the definition there. And then we've got that candidates cannot block any member of the elections committee during the campaign period, specifically seeing as, you know, they have a job to do and they should be able to do that without being prevented from doing so. And then we're just adding one thing on the drug and alcohol policy that said that any emblem or logo from an establishment that produces, distributes, or serves alcoholic beverages that are included on any campaign material must be accompanied by an appropriate responsible drinking emblem or logo of equal or larger size. I believe that that's everything. There's a couple of like additional endorsements and sponsors that need to be added on the floor changes. And then I also have never written a bill before, so I had to go in and individually delete all of the things that said resolved / enacted to just enacted. So that's all of the other changes that are going to go for.
Parliamentarian, can you read the abstract really quickly?
This bill serves to amend the current elections code to reflect the changes that the 2024 Elections Committee finds important for the future success of all elections.
Great. Let me start with questions. Chair Trout.
Slay. You talked about this in accessibility caucus, but the big reason why the elections committee wants to get this done now instead of waiting for next year is so the future elections committee or elections manager can just hit the ground running, knowing what's going on.
Yes, and honestly, I realized that like at the very beginning of my time here, even being on the elections committee from last year, there were still a lot of changes that we had thought that we wanted to enact that we just never got to see. And there were a lot of changes and like ideas that had kind of died because it was unable to be, you know, done right before Senate kind of ended because it's all very quick in this time of year. And so that's the importance of getting this done now.
And then I remember you also mentioned in caucus that there was concern from the advisors who oversee the elections committee that if this doesn't get passed, I see it. For the record, that had 6 bits left. The concern would be that a future elections committee or elections manager could not be hired on without proper amendments. I remember you making someone was discussing that in either caucus or one of the committees.
Yeah. My main concern there is just that I really want to make sure that we're not only setting up the future elections manager, but also the future members of the elections committee for success. And the best way to do that is knowing that when I leave this office and when I truly live this like behind me from this year, that the next person that will come into this job won't have as many questions as I did and also will not need as much assistance as I did when it comes to really understanding these documents and ensuring that everything is as up to date as it needs to be.
Beautiful. Madam Speaker, is anyone else on the speakers list? One person. Does that person care to ask a question, whoever that individual is?
I had motions to make.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make that motion for you anyway, super sorry. I motion to expedite this bill.
Second. So now you just have to vote. This bill has no monetary value, so it doesn't need approval. It just needs us to vote on it. So all those in favor of expediting this piece of legislation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Great. We're going to be expediting this piece of legislation. I'm opening up a period of discussion and debate. Chairman, on to you.
Lovely. Just to get the debate part out of the way, I think this bill is well done. I think it's a good idea to have this done now rather than later, so we can just do a lot of cleaning and that we can speed things up. Does the person who is on the speakers list care if I just motion the previous question? I motion the previous question.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Great. With that, this piece of legislation is expedited. Now we move into a period of voting. Associate Camberg.
Could I please make a motion to pass this legislation with unanimous consent?
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, this piece of legislation is passed with unanimous consent.
Very well. Thank you for coming to committee.
And we get to our last thing of the night.
Two more.
Oh.
executive job descriptions.
I have kind of personal privilege on this. No, it's order on this bill. It was sent out, yes, but the budget was linked in the same way that no one could open it. So it was not actually sent out 48 hours in advance. So we can't look at this unless we read it in full. And I don't think anyone in this room wants to read this document in full.
What I was going to do, we're gonna hold this off for the 54th Senate.
So there's one last piece of legislation, and that is the executive budget.
No,
Sorry, not executive budget, executive job description. Apologies.
Committee at the moment? Yes. Was the edit sent out to any of them?
Yes, I do have all of the edits compiled.
Whoa. Was it sent out?
And yes, it was sent out, but they all are floor changes and so need to be read.
Point of personal clarification. One of them was, my edits were not sent out until Tuesday. Do you have
Yes,
those?
and I already compiled them.
Thank you
I have
so
been here
much.
way too long compiling.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
So with this piece of legislation, President DeSalvo, are we willing to read every change edit that the committee's made?
Yes.
Go ahead.
There, I'll just scroll down when you read it.
Yeah, so this was from feedback we got, especially from Chair Aslam, just about the title CFO, changing it to Director of Finance. And it's streamlined there with the Constitution, so we figured it doesn't make too much sense to change that title. Again, just CFO changing to Director of Finance. That change reflected again. Same with Deputy Financial Officer changes to Deputy Director of Finance. All those other changes reflected the job description and supervision.
Yeah. They've all been compiled.
Cool. So because unless they can be identified, they agree.
There's actually a lot of different ones that, because you're not the only committee that didn't send it to me on time. So there's actually a lot of different ones. So we're gonna have to go through them all.
And all of them need to be read.
Yes. Anyway, so I think those were it. So.
You gotta go back up because we didn't read those blue ones up there.
Okay.
The blue ones were just a reflection of the change in name as well.
Because it wasn't sent out 48 hours.
Great. Deputy Director of Finance to Deputy Financial Officer to Deputy Director of Finance, Deputy Financial Officer to Deputy Director of Finance, Deputy Financial Officer to Deputy Director of Finance, 10 or 15 times over.
Context is important. Someone can't see the document, they would need context on where those are.
They're in the job description.
That's not where.
They're in the supervision portion. I just,
In sentence. The longer you take, the more time you're taking.
Point of order.
I just think
do
this
not
is for
believe this is
Liz
your
Senator.
main parliamentarian.
I'll just start reading them. The Deputy Director of Finance is the Director of Finance and managing ASCSU's 1.7 million discretionary budget. They will work with ASCSU accountants to ensure all financial transactions follow the correct procedures and make budgeting recommendations to the President and Vice President. They're also make the Deputy Chair to the Director of Finance of the Board of Student Organizational Funding and oversee the travel grant. The Deputy Director of Finance is directly accountable to the students of Colorado State University by the Director of Finance, Chief of Staff, and Deputy Chief of Staff. They must attend all regular meetings with the ASCSU accountant, ASCSU financial advisor, and Senate Budgetary Affairs Committee Chair in place of the chief, in place of the Director of Finance too. Okay, and then we scroll all the way down for a while till we get to, here we go. We're now at the Director of Traditions, and a few things got changed. Included in the.
Point of order, the comments clock is up.
Yes, however, because we have started this, we will now continue until it is done. Anyway, so now, added to the general duties of the Director of Traditions, we have, will work with the Pride Resource Center to sponsor and aid their drag show events. Then, removed from their fall specific duties is plan the ASCSU beer in. Removed from the spring specific duties is coordinate and execute the ASCSU beer in and plan CSU's Canvas Stadium concert for fall 2026. Okay, and then moving on to Deputy Director of Traditions. We have added to that general duties is work with the Pride Resource Center to sponsor and aid their drag show events. Removed from the fall specific duty is aid in the planning of the ASCSU beer in. Removed from the spring specific duty is aid in the coordinating and executing of the ASCSU beer in. And also removed is aid in the planning of CSU's Canvas Stadium concert for fall 2026. Yeah. Okay, continuing down further. Okay, the Department of Diversity and Inclusion had their title changed to be the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is responsible for promoting an inclusive environment within ASCSU and the CSU campus by facilitating organizational and campus collaborations with culturally focused organizations and SDPS offices to enhance diversity, inclusion, education, and engagement. It is a long sentence. The Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is directly accountable to the students of Colorado State University by the Chief of Staff and Deputy Chief of Staff. Okay, and then several statements were added to the general tasks and responsibilities, also several were removed. One added is to collaborate with at least one diversity symposium per semester and bring numerous campus partners on board with that. Another thing added was to work with the Office of International Programs to address concerns of international students. Also added was to work with the Director of Academic Relations and Graduate Student Council to address concerns of graduate students, including but not limited to the Graduate Student Union. Also added was attempt to attend the DEI Affairs Committee meetings in Senate at a minimum communicate with the chair of the DEI Affairs Committee to receive information about the topics discussed in the committee and reach out to members. Also added is work closely with key communities, Community for Excellence and Academic Advancement Center, and Global Village for collaboration efforts to ensure that ASCSU opportunities are accessible. Also added is to establish connections with Hill and other Jewish communities on campus to bridge the gap historically established by ASCSU. Also included is to establish connections with the Black African American Cultural Center to bridge the gap historically established by ASCSU. Also included is to establish connections with SDPS offices to bridge the gap historically established with ASCSU. Also added is to work with ASCSU advisors to ensure adequate internal promotion of the ASCSU Social Justice Book Library. Also added is to work with the Multi-Faith and Belief Student Council in order to include students of multiple faiths and address concerns that they have about campus. Also added is to meet with senators and associate senators of the SDPS offices at least once a semester and extend the invitation to all directors and deputy directors to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus. Also added was to attend Senate's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meetings to advance inter-branch collaboration with DEI initiatives. At a minimum, communicate with the chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to receive information about the topics discussed in their caucus and reach out to members. I moved to go and remove the previous one, which said the exact same thing. Cool. Awesome. Okay. And then the last thing added is to work with Pride Resource Center to sponsor and aid in their drag show events. Okay, and now continuing down to the Director of Academic Relations, a change was made to their general duties and responsibilities, that being to include working with the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Graduate Student Council to address concerns of graduate students, including but not limited to the Graduate Student Union. And I believe that is everything besides some weird blank pages. Yeah.
Great. Does the author accept these changes? Perfect. This is its first reading, so I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A.
No, this
Is
is
it
second
second
reading.
reading? Oh, this is job description.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got my head in this is budget. Open the floor to discussion and debate for the first race placard. Chairman Auntie.
I'm vibing with the edits. I vibe with the edits. I think that's a very solid point that a lot of us have. And yeah, no, I'm glad that we can finally finalize these and then you can start finally hiring people. And yeah, is there anyone else who's on the speakers list?
There's one person at the moment.
Do they care if I just previous the question? All right, I motion the previous question.
Is there any dissent? Great. We're gonna move to a period of voting. Assistant Camper.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this with unanimous consent.
No.
We're gonna do this by voice. As quickly as possible. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I feel like this is the last stand for you. All those not in favor, please say nay. Any abstentions?
Abstain.
This bill passes. Yeah, you're so right. Reports have nothing to do with confidence business. Executive reports.
Madam Speaker, how does the Senate feel about just adjourning?
No.
I just have one thing. I just wanted to provide. This is true. Maybe two things. I just wanted to provide additional context to something that Director Stella alluded to earlier, and that was the fate of House Bill 241018, the textbook tax bill, that I partnered with Representative Basenecker on. It had been sitting in Appropriations Committee after it passed the House Finance Committee, and there were a number of tax credits that were prioritized by House Democrats, more so than this textbook bill. Additionally, it was bipartisan at the start. It had Republican support, like the other tax credits that House Democrats pushed through. That Republican support started to erode with concerns of free market. This bill would have outlined that these tax exemptions would go through university bookstores, and there was concern among some Republicans that have one mom and pop bookstore in the area they represent, that it would perhaps limit competition and kind of filter the money to campus bookstores. I do find some credence to that argument, but the reality is most people buy their textbooks through campus bookstores because they have the specialized materials that regular bookstores don't. We're really disappointed by this, but I think it lays good groundwork to run with the piece of legislation again if Representative Basenecker is willing. I'll have a meeting with him on Friday to discuss next steps with that. Disappointing, definitely not the outcome I wanted, but I feel there's a duty to inform the body about that. Thank you. And we should do the fight song.
I don't think anyone from the judicial branch is here anymore. Moving on to legislative officers.
Apparently I'm starting. So just so y'all know that the vote of confidence for the speakers candidates was taken March 20th, and technically we have to release that count today since it's been a month. And so those will be at the bottom of my minutes. You guys can come up and ask me at the end of this what the vote was, and it'll be on the bottom of my minutes from this week.
Since this is the last session of the 53rd, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be your speaker pro tem forward. It was so fun to work with all of you. Have a good night. Peace.
Last one.
A few words.
Sure.
Still voting. Okay, goodbye, and I guess if anyone wants to be parliamentarian, make sure to show up next Wednesday to go and get elected into that position.
Yeah. Thanks, Dallas. This is a great year. I appreciate all of you. Moving on. And then
That's my Madam Speaker.
Woo!
much love for all of you. First, now no Senator and Associate Reports. Chairman Otti.
Yo, the graduations for the SDP Center, the SDP Center. I'll get this acronym right one day. But yeah, those graduations are happening. Y'all should totally support your fellow constituents who are graduating. Pop off, and that's all I gotta say. Yeah.
Associate Camber.
Okay, so this is a little bit weighty. I had posted that there was an opportunity to do a restorative justice circle. That will be April 30th. And then you'd have to meet with someone within wow, words escaping me. The Conflict Resolution Office to be briefed before that would happen. I did get a brief, essentially an email saying that like no one had reached out and that offer is still on the table, but as of now it will not be happening on the 30th. But if you want to further do that kind of work, we will be re-exploring that in the fall. So let me know if you have any thoughts or concerns or want to move forward in any other capacity. I'm open to feedback. All right, with that, I yield.
Thank you. Chair Oswald. I was further down the list. I'm not gonna give a committee report because I don't want to. So thanks for letting me be your budgetary affairs chair. Good luck to whoever takes it next year. I'll send an email to the speaker with my letter that I'm supposed to write. Sorry, on Friday, we have lab grad. If y'all have the time and you want to see me stumble my way through a speech that I actually have to actively prepare beforehand, please show up. It's at 5:30 to like 6:30 in the LSU Theater. I remember the location this time, guys. I'm so cool.
Woo!
What?
It's not like it's always in
There's always a theater. And finally, thank you to everyone today. And as always, don't forget to say Free Palestine.
Okay, so I'll start off with Take Back the Night, which is happening on the 30th. I've got hopefully some art in it, so please come stop by. There's going to be, I don't even know, words aren't working. It's at the Laurie Student Center Ballroom, 7 to 8:30. It's a night for survivors. We are going to be doing basically our graduation ceremony for the Women Gender Advocacy Center, now the SAFE Center. And so we will be honoring survivors and graduates who are survivors. There we go. It's a really beautiful night of healing. So please stop by to show your support for survivors. I think that's all I have for Take Back the Night. So I yield my time to my lovely co-senator.
Cool. So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and April is coming to the end. So just because the end of Awareness Month is coming to an end doesn't mean the end of awareness should be coming to the end. So I have posted it in here before, but I'll post it again. The Victim Assistance Team hotline. It's open 24/7, 365. And then also Bike Back the Night, which was supposed to be on Saturday, got canceled due to the Undie Run, which kind of sucks. But again, come to Take Back the Night instead. Also, today is Denim Day, which is a day, I'll be like really quick with this. It's a day where you wear denim in order to show your support for rape and sexual assault survivors. And it was due to a Supreme Court thing that was ruled back in the 90s about how they ruled that
a person, they didn't rule that a case was sexual assault because of the fact that the person was wearing jeans. And so this is where you wear denim just to support people who, like, it's not their fault. So yeah, thank you, Chair Trout.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two things. I will try and make them quick. I pinky promise. Ramride is looking for one last group of volunteers for, oh my gosh, go away. For May 3rd. May 3rd is, what day is that? I think it's a Friday. The really cool thing about it being kind of last minute is this is a great way to earn double the money. So if you or your student org are looking to make $1,000 or $2,000, it's a great way to do that. Otherwise, we have to use lift codes, and that would make me very, very sad. So reach out to me or the Ramride office by next Tuesday, April 30th is the deadline to submit documents and whatnot. So ideally by the end of the week. Also, if you're looking for a job, Off-Campus Life is hiring a night operations coordinator to replace me because I've added 3,000, as I've told by caucus. So if you want a job that pays really, really well, go there. It's a really cool office. You get to work with Letty, who's our incredible DEI director here. Also, really quickly, while I have the microphone, a huge shout out to y'all for the advocacy of disabled students. It's been really incredible to see non-SDC centers work hard this year specifically. I know that's been an issue that we've faced in years past. I think we've really built a community that will continue for years. And so I thank you for that on behalf of the SDC delegation. Thank you. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Sanders and Associates. Seeing none. Committee reports, internal.
It's been an honor to be the chair of the Internal Affairs Committee. I've loved it. So if you have any thoughts of taking that position next year, please come and talk to me. I'd love to tell you some about it and give you some advice with that. And with that, I yield.
Budgetary. Yield. Graham is in here. Monty.
It has been my absolute pleasure and joy being the chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusions Affairs Committee. This very young committee, only founded by our own speaker, not the last Senate before her. I have to truly thank I have to truly thank all of y'all for letting me be in this position and letting me be a part of this history with this community and hopefully set a path for it with its goals, its intentions, and what it serves to do here for this organization and the greater student body. I truly, once again, for a third time, have to thank you. And with my heart and love, if you seek to fill this position, hit me up. I'm always available. And yeah, thank you once again. I yield.
Thank you. Caucus reports. Women's and Social Justice. We did not meet again this week, but that's okay. I am gonna hold a session next week, but not for any business. We're just gonna come and hang out. I might see if I can find some money for some snacks. And we're just gonna chill. So please show up, especially if you've come to caucus before. Also, thank you so much for all the support for the book drive. I will, since we've canceled the last two meetings, we'll have a final number of how many books were collected whenever I get my, just gonna say it, shit together. So that's it, I yield. Facility.
There you go, get to see me be sad again. It has been one of the greatest honors of my life to not only be chair of this caucus, but to be a co-founder of it and to see it grow and thrive. And I really, really do encourage y'all that if you have the time and the dedication to create something new, to stick with it. I really consider just creating it and then dipping. And I am so incredibly grateful that I sticked around and continue to see this group of incredible activists lead initiatives that other college campuses are now looking to us on. So thank you for the love and support on that front. We will be looking for an interim chair to kind of operate during the summer unless there's an election for it, but I don't know what's going on with that because students are low. So we're looking for an interim chair to kind of help oversee things. I'm gone out of Fort Collins at the end of May. So ideally, someone who's still here and still engaged in the community. We'll do some more outreach on that and we'll discuss that more in the group meet. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. But thank you all again for your love and support throughout the year. With that, I yield.
Great. Ending. Senator Snyder.
Motion. Use beginning roll call as ending roll call.
Any dissent? Seeing none, we use beginning roll call as ending roll call.
And now a rousing.
The only thing Parker cares about saying.
This is the one time. This is the one time I've seen Parker so extroverted.
All you got is have
Don't
worry, just sing along.
I don't think
Yeah, come on, y'all.
And with that, as sad but happy I am to say, we are